Gaming news today is all about change. First, we covered the GTA 6 price debate just last week, and now more and more fans and outlets are weighing in. But then, just this morning, a bunch of videos hit my feed. We have brand new GTA 6 leaks. There is GTA 6 leaked gameplay that's making into videos details about various things that seems to be corroborating claims from other leakers who have seen the game. We'll be taking a look at that shortly. Now, second, we will also be discussing the change in marketing style with Nintendo. It has some fans worried or just downright disappointed in the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer. My latest video is live on the channel right now talking about how Nintendo is growing up. They're not fundamentally changing. So make sure and check out that video if you want to know my thoughts on that. Third, Call of Duty is changing something, how you can disable crossplay. The reason's not surprising, but you're not necessarily going to be thrilled with how they're implementing it because it's not going to be available for everybody or in all modes. Fourth, the recent Star Wars Jedi Survivor patch has seemingly fixed the issues it had with PSSR on the PS5 Pro. Digital Foundry has weighed in, and not surprising, those who claimed PSSR had failed or flopped are continuing their streak of being wrong. Lastly, a new rumor that Starfield and Fallout 4 will be headed to the Switch 2, along with another list of games, and we'll be taking a look at that shortly. Now, as always, I have a game for your wish list and your radar, and if you want to support this channel directly, be sure to smash the like button and hit subscribe. And if you want to go beyond that and get into the back side of this channel, there's a whole side you don't get to see if you're not a member. Morning Coffee is the opening day segment, and the Green Room closes the day. And if you're at Member Plus, you get access to that. So be sure to pick the $6 member tier if you want access to all my extra content, and it helps me do this full time. So let's take a look at what's going on with GTA 6 and this leaked gameplay. Another leaker is claiming to have seen GTA 6 gameplay, and it is not old or previous versions of the game. This is more recent. Previous leaks and claims were from versions of the game from 2 and sometimes 3 years ago, and this is what they had to say. The map is going to offer unprecedented levels of freedom. There has been some corroboration through multiple sources about what the map is roughly going to look like, which is related to something else this leaker said. The leaker said that the buildings will have fully developed interiors. Now, this is not going to be every single building. It will be some of the buildings, right? Every single building having, you know, this open-ended thing where you can walk around on the inside and do stuff. That's not going to be probably possible, but they did say it will have more fleshed out building interiors than in GTA 5. Leaks and map concepts seem to indicate there's a mixture of areas with buildings and larger areas without buildings like swamps. So this could be having ways so they could have those more developed interiors to the buildings themselves. Essentially, like, if there's large areas with swamps and water and stuff where there aren't these big giant skyscrapers and things like that, that could assist them with the next thing that got leaked, which is roughly 40% of the buildings will have these fully developed interiors. Maybe that's how they got the percentage so high. If 40% of them have developed interiors, well, maybe because there's lots of beachfront or swamp or, you know, low land marsh areas where there's not a lot of, you know, these high tall buildings. So 40% is the number that we are hearing. Now, it could just be possible as well that they decided to go with less quantitatively total as far as how many buildings there were in GTA 5. They also said that elements of these buildings will be destructible. There'll be dynamic events that happen around the map. And if you pay close attention in the trailer, you can see some of those dynamic moments happening with traffic and street races and the like. NPCs and cops will feel more realistic than previous games. And the video that surfaced about this, there was a guy that made the video. He was sort of walking through all the leaks. And he said he had been following the game very, very closely. And he was worried about the GTA 6 release date, given how small the marketing window would be. If we get a release date in the next month, which is what many people anticipate with the Take-Two earnings call happening on February the 6th, his whole point was that's a really, really short marketing window. I actually think that's a really good reason to do it that way. I think the shorter marketing windows have been more significant. They've been better. Case in point, the very next thing we're going to talk about, which is the Nintendo Switch 2. That's going to have a very short marketing window, isn't it? I mean, they're going to do the Nintendo Direct in April, and we know the thing's probably coming out in maybe the summer. If not, we know it's coming out this year. So at the very most, it's only going to have a couple of months to maybe 4 or 5 months of marketing, depending on the release date. So shorter marketing windows can actually be very, very potent and effective, especially when you have such a long-awaited thing. The other thing that the Nintendo Switch 2 and GTA 6 kind of have in common is you don't want to destroy the demand and the engagement with your existing product. Like, they don't want GTA Online and GTA 5 to start to see diminishment of engagement or spending. Same with the Nintendo Switch, the OLED, and the Switch Lite. Nintendo wants to continue to sell those, so that's why they kept the marketing window shorter for the Switch 2. And speaking of the marketing for the Switch 2, it's the topic of conversation today. A surprising amount of negative reactions to this first look trailer that Nintendo released. My latest video talks about how Nintendo is growing up, and I think you should check it out. I'm not going to give you a recap here because I want people to go and check out those uploads. Defeats the purpose if I give you the Cliffs Notes here. So make sure and check that out. I do analysis of the trailer, but I also do analysis of Mario Kart in a way that's more surface level. However, Sun Grand Studios did analysis of the Mario Kart 9 gameplay as a developer, and this is what he had to say. He saw things like volumetric lighting, better textures on the ground, shadows at far distance, density of the textures on the ground, cloth simulation on the flags, and higher poly counts versus Mario Kart 8. Now, he does this as somebody who has developed games before and says this is all very exciting. He says this should be significantly stronger than the Switch 1 and will actually help him complete a previous game that he was working on to bring it to the Switch 2. Now, this to me is exciting. Everything he pointed out about Mario Kart 9, I think adds to my own theory that I think Mario Kart 9 will be a Switch 2 exclusive. When he's walking through things like, yeah, not just that there's 24 karts on the track, but that there's volumetric lighting and shadows being drawn at greater distance. Now, somebody might push back and say, well, all of that could be shut off and turned off in the Nintendo Switch 1 version. We will have to wait and see. My current theory is that Metroid Prime will be the cross-gen release since it was already announced for the Switch, and I think Mario Kart 9 is the launch title and will be exclusive to drive sales. They are prepared for demand of upwards of 20 million. They actually pushed the Nintendo Switch back into this year. The Switch 2 was pushed back into this year so they could meet demand. I think they're going to meet it. Now, some have called this boring. They thought that the trailer and the reveal was boring and unexciting. Some are saying, oh, it's just bigger and new. There's nothing else going on. I think we're going to want to check out the Nintendo Direct about it in April to really know exactly what this thing's going to be capable of. But be sure to check out my latest video about this. I push back on a lot of the reasons that people are concerned that Nintendo's losing their identity or something like that. Now, in the theme of today being about change, Call of Duty's making a change to crossplay. If you don't like crossplay in Call of Duty on the console, the good news is you will soon be able to disable it. Insider Gaming reported the following. With the Season 2 update, console players will finally be able to switch off cross-play mechanics, locking them into matchmaking against only other players and not the PC users. Now, this is obviously because PC is where the vast majority of the cheating in games like Call of Duty takes place. It's far easier to do and far more widespread. Now, unfortunately, it will only be in one mode. It will not be in every mode, and this is what they reported. This will be deployed for both Warzone and Black Ops 6 ranked play, but it won't roll out for general multiplayer playlist, which has been met with disappointment from fans on social media. Now, if you're not happy with this decision, you should let your voice be heard, okay? Because this is what they say at the end. Treyarch insisted it will be closely monitoring and will consider further changes to prioritize the integrity of the ecosystem going forward. More than likely, they're probably doing this because the rise of cheating in ranked is where it's happening more often. However, what this will likely then do, it could lead cheaters to go to those other modes. They'll go to the unranked because they know they'll have access to more players, because they know that the console players will not be able to turn off crossplay. The epidemic of cheating in PvP video games cannot be overstated. There are million-dollar businesses that exist. Some of them have even been sued for making and distributing cheats. I think the most surprising thing to come out of all of this was finding out just how much these losers will spend to cheat in a video game. I mean, talk about pissing your money away. That has to be the single worst way to spend your money. You'd be better off buying scratch-offs, because at least you could win something real and tangible instead of throwing it away on cheats in Call of Duty, only to eventually get banned anyway. Many of these people just end up losing the accounts that they cheat on, and then they move on to another account. So that's going to be a continued problem for PvP games, and seemingly still a problem for people playing Warzone or Black Ops 6 in the unranked modes on console. Now, again, the theme of the day is change, and there was a change in an update to the PSSR updates and problems in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Well, the good news is, for fans that were frustrated by the PS5 Pro patch in Jedi Survivor, Digital Foundry reports that for the most part, all of the problems have been resolved. The flickering foliage is basically gone. Foliage stability has been improved. At rest, it's good, but in motion, it's been largely improved even more. And then a notorious section called River Run has been cleaned up enormously, according to Ollie from Digital Foundry. It's not perfect, he said, but looks very good. Not a real shocker here that new tech needed some tweaking and adjustments. Just like the Black Ops 6, those developers discovered that you needed to denoise and clean up the PSSR implementation. More devs will likely continue to improve and better execute as time goes on, making a lot of those videos age like milk in the sun. Now, as far as aging like milk in the sun, we're not quite sure how some of these games are going to land on the Switch, but there's a new rumor that Starfield and Fallout 4 will be headed to the Switch 2. Insider Gaming has the report. Starfield and Fallout 4 are also coming to Nintendo Switch 2, it is claimed, is their headline. Xstasis, a known leaker, continues to leak details about things coming from Xbox and other platforms. Here is what the report says. According to the video, Xstasis believes that the following games will be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, Halo the Master Chief Collection, Diablo 4, a Call of Duty game, Fallout 4, and Starfield. Now, this is in line with some other rumors that we're hearing about the Switch 2 having a larger third-party presence. We've also heard Xbox is rumored to be bringing the Master Chief Collection to both PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch 2 from other sources. So Xstasis is hearing similar things. Starfield being thrown in the mix is a bit of a surprise, but given the litany of loading screens and the dated engine, I don't actually think this thing would struggle to run on the Switch based on everything that we're hearing. I mean, this thing runs on the Series S, so they would probably not have, I don't think, that hard of a time. And here's the thing, a lot of these devs and studios and publishers are highly motivated to get their games on the Nintendo Switch 2. They know that this thing's going to be really, really hot, especially in the early days. It'll be high in demand, and if you're one of the launch titles for it, as a way, to distinguish it from the Switch 1, that could lead to a lot of people buying your game. I think this is in line with all the rumors we've been hearing about both of the platforms, both the Switch 2 and the Xbox. Seeing how much nobody wants to miss out on the Switch this time around, it does not surprise me at all that Microsoft wants to put some of its bigger titles on it. So we'll have to wait and see if there are official announcements here. But where there's smoke, there's fire, and there is a lot of insiders making claims about games coming to the Switch 2 that seems almost insane to think about, from Red Dead Redemption 2 to Elden Ring to now Starfield. Now, I always try to give you a game for your wish list and your radar, and this is kind of in the theme of today. The theme of today is change, and there seems to be a change in the gaming world. The first Berserker Khazan is one of many games to feature a demo on all platforms before it comes out. This is a hardcore action role-playing game, obviously very much inspired by the frenetic and challenging Souls-like combat that you've seen out there. And its release date's just around the corner. March 27th, it will be releasing on Steam, PlayStation 5, Series X and S. You can see right there, the demo is already available. It's been available for 4 days. It is about 3 to 4 hours, and it's not just on Steam. It's on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation. You can play the demo right now. Now, I played the beta of this game back when that was available, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the combat. I enjoyed the art style. I'm actually hoping the PS5 Pro can maybe smooth over some of the issues that I had. There were some issues with frame rate. It is a very, very intense game, very demanding, and very good-looking game. I love the art style especially. It is, again, right around the corner, March 27th, and the demo shows that they've got confidence in their game. And I honestly love the increase in demos lately. I think that's a great win for gamers. I've continued to say that game demos and game trials is something that we should fully support because it allows gamers to be more confident when they go into their game. So just to recap, we have brand new GTA 6 leaked gameplay, more people claiming to have seen the game, and they're all saying very similar things. Now you could be like, well, they're all just copying each other, but they're zeroing in on specific implementations of dynamic events or buildings or the size of the world. It does genuinely sound like that game is starting to get extra leaky. Now, I made a prediction that GTA 6 leaks would continue to rise throughout this year, and that is happening. We are on the cusp, I think, of something happening, whether it is the trailer or a release date or something. I believe February is when that's going to start to happen because the earnings call from Take-Two is going to put something in motion, either the beginning of the marketing and cementing a release date at some point, or they will confirm the delay. Now, the second thing we talked about is the marketing approach to the Nintendo Switch 2 has been not enjoyed by everybody. There's been mixed responses, and again, be sure to check out my upload. It's called Nintendo is Growing Up. I see the Switch 2 announcement very differently than a lot of other people out there. And then Call of Duty's making it so you can turn off crossplay if you want to play ranked on console. You don't have to play with the PC boys because that's where most of the cheaters are. And Jedi Survivor fixed its issues with PSSR and the PS5 Pro, and now we're hearing more rumors about games coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and this time it's Starfield and Fallout 4. So that's the news, and now it's time for the discussion. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Make sure you're going through that daily ritual. You guys already have well over 100 likes, so let's try to get 200 likes. That would be amazing. I am seeing reports. We're going to kind of on the fly this. I'm seeing a report here from Windows Central saying Silk Song lives, and Team Cherry offers an update on Hollow Knight Silk Song, insisting that the game is still coming. Well, before we get to that, let me thank some of the people that are already supporting what we do here. A $2 super chat tip from Craig the Tech Guy. He says, GTA 6 will cost $100 to $150. Get it ready. What do you guys think? A lot of you weighed in on my poll on the channel. I said, listen, what do you guys think? Are they going to charge more money for this game? And so I've got it on the thumbnail because we didn't break that story, but we were one of the first people to put together a video about it, about, hey, there's this guy that said in this report that this could be one of the first games to do this. And then it sort of got traction over the weekend. And then I had a lot of people commenting on my poll. And I think it was literally because people were finding the articles, and they were coming to YouTube to see, you know, what in the heck was going on. So I'd be curious to know what you guys think as well. And again, thank you to everybody who's been supporting those uploads. The Nintendo upload's going strong. So thank you guys so much for doing that. Continue to watch those, leave comments and likes, and then come back over to the live stream. We really appreciate that. We're trying to do both here. It's incredibly hard to do both. So thank you for the $2 super chat. And then Han shot first, and so did you. The first gifted member of the day comes in from Joker Quinn and gets us to 4, but then we get to 5 with Zinthos. Now, Zinthos gets us really in a nice spot. If somebody wants to drop that 20 bomb, some of the big boys love to do that. the 20 bomb to 25, if that happens, I'll owe you guys some members. Victor leaves a comment on my Nintendo video and says, I'm interested, but I want to see exclusives. I agree. Raphael McCoy says, for me, I'm glad the Switch 2 Joy-Cons are bigger, but overall Nintendo had to grow up. I agree that it's probably because of the games. I just hope they get the price right. Anyhow, good video. Guys, thank you so much. I was really, really pleased with how that Nintendo video turned out. We ran into some problems this morning. That's why that video was late. That's why this live stream is late. Just some issues. We're cranking out videos so quickly. Most people don't do that. I'm recording a video on a Sunday and then it needs to be edited and uploaded on a Monday. That's really, really difficult to do and to do well. So if you support those uploads with comments and likes, we greatly appreciate that. We really are trying to do daily uploads, daily live streams, and man, it's just two of us. It's literally just me and my editor, producer, 8 other titles that he holds. That is something that we're trying to do for you guys. So if you like that and you really appreciate the content flow and the amount of content that you get, show appreciation in the easiest way, which is you hit like, you watch the vids, and check your notification bell. Make sure it's set to all. Some people found it got switched to personalized, so double check that. I think they announced ports on Nintendo. Oh, by the way, also PS5 to try to mitigate the damage. When they announce it, $70 for the base game of GTA 6. I'm telling you, there's been a lot of blood spilled over the GTA 6 price over the weekend. I think people are really worried that this will be the game that will nudge the price of games up. Roadkill says, who cares? Most games come out with a $130 version. Well, see, in my original discussion about this, I said that I thought they could get GTA 6 to a higher price point in a much easier way, right? All you got to do is have your $70, $80, and $100 versions. If you make a flashy car and a cool outfit, tons of people will buy the more expensive version. It's not that complicated. But I think what somebody would say is, if you raise the base price, you make it to where nobody has the option and you automatically make more money. And listen, I get the wisdom. I get the wisdom there. I get the thought process there. But I also just think, I think they want to get as many people in GTA 6 as possible. I don't think they want to charge more. But if there's one game that could get away with it, it certainly is them. It certainly is them. Was Red Dead Redemption 2 online separate? I thought it was a separate download, but I thought the same thing about GTA 6 online, and people told me that it was not separate, which I found to be interesting. Spice King says, Nintendo felt like the Teddy Roosevelt of the gaming industry. Speak softly and carry a big stick. It'll go far. Yeah, for sure. They've always seemed to deliver very strong, even when they have weaker stuff. We have a release date for Sworn. This was a game that I was checking out. Isn't this Co-op Hades? I think this is one of the... Yeah, this is Co-op Hades. We have a release date. Early access is February the 6th. Play the demo now. Is this coming to... Is this coming to all platforms, though? Yeah, it's also going to release on all the platforms later this year, but early access is hitting February the 6th. I'll tell you what, I'm going to throw that in my wish list and radar room. I'll feature that in one of my show opens. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Team Cherry has acknowledged an update on Hollow Knight. The game is still coming. The long-awaited sequel is in development, but Team Cherry says they are progressing and aim to release it in the future. So they're not even committing to this year. Let's see. Here we go. Here's the tweet. Leth reached out to me to confirm there was no Silksong ARG and that the changes to Williams' account and the tweet were a nothing burger. Apologies to have misled everyone. The cake is a lie. Okay, so people thought maybe there was an ARG is coming out. Now, Matthew Griffin, who works for Team Cherry's marketing and publishing department, he replied and said, yes, the game is real, progressing, and will release. So that's all they're willing to confirm at this time, which is truly remarkable. I wonder if they've just been advised by their marketing team that it kind of like with what GTA 6 has done, if you just stay quiet, it honestly doesn't hurt you. Anticipation will just continue to build and it doesn't cost you any money. You don't have to spend any money for ad placement. You don't have to spend any money to have any trailers put together, Guys, double check that you've hit that like button. Let's get 50 more likes. Let's get a quick 100 like count on the day. We might not have some people here because of the holiday, MLK Day. There's also some big things going on, and we're going to stay distracted from that, whether or not you're excited about today or not excited about today. This is a place to talk about gaming. So that is what we're going to talk about today. ADR Zone says, great video as always, but the first implementation of Analog 6 was a system called the Vectrex in 1982. I shouldn't have said analog sticks. What I meant was thumbsticks, right? What I meant was thumbsticks. Like, they were the first to do it. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I see what you are saying. Meant to say thumbsticks. I meant to say thumbstick. I went and looked it up, and I saw, like, the official title was analog stick. Yo, what's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. We need to get some gifted members going. Feed's in the chat, and he's a gray name again. We got to fix that. I saw somebody refer to them as the analog sticks, and I should have said thumbstick. Because they were. The Nintendo 64 was the first to give us thumbsticks on a controller. Like, that's why that's, like, a standard today. I just feel like the leaks lessened the impact of the trailer. It's a cool presentation, but not impactful if it's pretty much the same as we've already seen already. Exactly why leaks can be harmful. Yeah, leaks can be harmful. You know? Like, I covered the leaks. I didn't show you guys any of the screenshots of the Switch 2. But, I mean, I covered the leaks. But I'm also not going to come out after covering leaks and complain and say, well, that wasn't very exciting. That wasn't very surprising. Of course it wasn't surprising. Everybody had seen the Switch 2, front, side, top, bottom. There were 3D renders of the thing. We had so much footage of it. So to me, it's like, yeah, of course it wasn't. How are they supposed to surprise us when we all knew it was coming? That'd be like ending, you know, a showcase where there were no surprises because everything got leaked ahead of time, if that makes sense. Like, whenever I remember when the Metal Gear trailer, it landed in that one showcase, and like, it didn't surprise anybody because we all knew it was coming. It was like, okay, I knew it. It's I don't know. Ooh. Oh. It was a safe console, even if it's not leaks. Reaction would have been the same. I mean, here's the thing. I don't think the reaction's negative. The thing is pacing above the PS5 reveal trailer. It's got, like, 18 million views, a really good like ratio. I think there are members of the gaming press and there are members of the gaming community who are always shrugging at everything. I don't think they can be wowed anymore. I don't think they can be excited anymore. I think they've lost the ability to be like, ooh, ah. Like, that's not something that they will ever say ever again. I think we've just reached that point. There's no more mystery. There's no more awestruck, you know, oh my, did you see that? It's just, we consume so much media, especially gaming media. You go and sit through an hour-long showcase that'll have anywhere from 20 to 30 trailers and announcements, and people will walk away from all those trailers and announcements and be like, yeah, meh, meh, like, it was meh. It's just like, I think people are losing their ability to get excited about things. Whether it's game trailers, whether it's gameplay, or something like the Nintendo Switch 2, it's just like, I think people have reached that point. And hear me say this, I'm not saying that the Switch 2 trailer was like mind-blowing, but isn't it just exciting? It's a new Nintendo device after 8 years. It's got cool things that you're going to be able to do that you couldn't do before. It's got features that weren't on the last one. It seemingly is going to offer a Mario Kart with 24 carts on the thing. And Top Reply with the first 5 bomb of the day, and he gets us to 10 members. A nice strong start. Thank you so much, Top Reply, for that support. Let's get some more of those gifted members. We got to get feedback in the mix. If the Switch 2 has all of these Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation games, you need a PlayStation or Xbox handheld if you're a console gamer. You're saying you won't need? I mean, what you're saying is you have to know what you're saying is absurd. I mean, I know you're trying to throw PlayStation in there, but that's not even a comparison at all. Or are you saying you wouldn't need a PlayStation or an Xbox handheld? Again, I feel like that's absurd. I feel like an Xbox handheld or a PlayStation handheld will likely be a lot stronger than the Switch 2. I highly doubt the Switch 2 is going to push for strength and for power. You know what I mean? Or looking to have a console. Yeah, I don't get what you're saying. If I want the PlayStation games at their fidelity that they're promoted at and the trailers and everything else, also what you're saying is you're presuming something that is equally absurd. They're not going to be putting PS5 games on the Switch 2. There's literally no way. There is absolutely no way that you're going to see PlayStation first-party studios building the next, like, Spider-Man 3 for the Switch 2, or, you know, the next, like, Ghost of Yotei or whatever. There's just no way. Now, again, I could easily be convinced that PlayStation 4 games, they'll take to it and see it as another additive market. That's if Nintendo even wants that. Is Nintendo going to want to be treated as an additive market? I cannot see that happening. Now, Xbox is in a completely different scenario. I don't think Xbox cares whether or not you buy their future handheld or whether or not you play on PC, PlayStation, or Switch. They just want you buying their games and engaging with their MAU count, whether it's Minecraft, Call of Duty, or something else. But if you can play Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo games on one device, it would be great. Right, but you're saying if something impossible happens, it would be great. I don't think there's a future where you could get every single game on one device. Now, I know guys are going to, like, wink and nod and be like, well, if you're on PC, wink, wink, and they'll, you know, obviously then you're promoting the piracy of Nintendo games, but you're not getting every PlayStation game either. So you're still not going to have every game. I don't think there's a scenario where you have a piece of hardware that can play literally every game that comes out. I think that's a pipe dream. I think that's an absolute pipe dream. I also don't think that would necessarily be better anyway. PS5 games can't run on the Switch 2. Yeah, I don't think so. They would have to work with the porting company, like the porting company. Their name, I believe, is Shiver. Nintendo acquired them, and they did a really good job with the Hogwarts Legacy port. But if we're honest, porting Hogwarts Legacy to the Switch 1 is not even remotely the same as, like, trying to get a game like Horizon Forbidden West or Spider-Man 2 ported, because the way that they work is just entirely different, especially with, like, the loading in Spider-Man 2. Were there not rumors of PlayStation games coming to the Switch 2? Okay, rumors about PlayStation 4 games is not PlayStation 5 games, and they're also just rumors. I've not seen any of the sources out there that are talking about, like, Starfield and Fallout. I've not seen any of them say a word about PlayStation 5 games. It's been Red Dead Redemption 2 was one of the big games listed. Elden Ring was one of the big games listed, and now we're hearing about, you know, Flight Sim, Fallout 4, and Starfield. Those are all games that I think you could reasonably port down because those are games that run on the Series S. I don't think the leap from S to the Switch 2 is as big of a leap. First-party PlayStation studios are going to be far more focused on the PS5 Pro and leveraging that than porting their games to the Switch. We'll have to obviously wait and see if Herman Hulst or any of the earnings calls ever mentions the Switch 2, as they have mentioned their strategy with PC. We have a very clear picture about what they're going to do on PC. He says it's a dual approach. Live service games go day and date. Our big titles do not. We stagger those, hoping people want to come over to the console for a sequel. If you hear the Switch 2 mentioned in a PlayStation earnings call, we'll have an insight into what they plan to do with the device. I'll tell you this. I don't think PlayStation's just going to ignore the Switch 2. I don't think so. When somebody at Bobby Kotick's level says, yeah, we made a mistake there, that was a bad judgment on the Switch 1, I think a lot of other companies probably are thinking very similarly, like, this thing's just too big to ignore. Now people talking about, like, GTA 6 on the Switch 2, I think people are going too far. I think people are taking it to a level of absurdity. Like, there are games that are just going to be too large, too ambitious, too demanding to run on the Switch 2. We're hearing games that are basically, either old gen games like Red Dead Redemption 2 or Fallout 4. We're hearing games like that, or we're hearing about games that are not nearly as demanding, like Elden Ring or Starfield. These are not graphically demanding games. They're not next-gen tour de force games with a bunch of like high 4K textures and ray tracing and any of that. Like, those games don't have those bells and whistles, so it's not beyond, it's like, it doesn't seem beyond the scope of possibility. I don't see GTA 6 landing on the Switch. I don't see first-party PlayStation 5 games landing on the Switch. That just doesn't seem possible. The 32 gig is the maximum cartridge size on the original Switch. Yeah, and so Nintendo patented technology to upscale, and then their goal with the patent was to get install sizes shrunk down, likely in related to that. Didn't the Sega Saturn 3D controller come out as a response to Nintendo 64? I can't remember. I'm getting old. Same. Can't remember. I can't remember who did it for. If Sega did that. All I know is that Nintendo did the thumbstick first on the Nintendo 64. Either way, I'll be getting a Switch 2, mainly for the kids. I want one for me. I don't know about that. I want one for me. LOL. My kids definitely want one, though. That's true. Switch 2 can't run GTA 6. Yeah, the Switch 2 won't do as well, says Chris. Nintendo's market is kids, and parents need a good reason to buy. Their market's not kids. What you're saying is factually incorrect. We looked at the report the other day. Over 80% of the people who own and use a Switch 1 are the age of 16 and up, and the largest portion are in the 20s and up. What you're saying is simply unfounded and untrue. It's a misinformed conception. People see the Switch and they think it's like a kids thing, and it's made for kids. That's their target market. Their market's kids. No, there is no evidence to substantiate that. The evidence is quite the contrary. The smallest percentage of people booting up the Switch 1 are children. The largest percentage are people in their 20s and up, which makes sense given the timing and the age of people who grew up with Nintendo, and also given the fact that its portability makes more sense for somebody that travels or is like business professional, or they're on a train or a tram or a subway every day. 1 in 4 people in Japan have one. Their gaming on the go culture is very, I think, a little bit different than ours. But yeah, it's not actually, their target market's not children. Their target market is adults that love Zelda and Mario and Pokemon. And the market of those games is not children. I mean, if you look at the numbers, you look at the stats, that just isn't substantiated. Even the average age of gamers makes it hard to believe that, because it's just like the average age of gamers is like 28 and up. So I think that's a misconception. People always see Nintendo and that's what they think. They're like, oh, it's for kids. People think the same thing about Fortnite. And I got news for you. A lot of people playing Fortnite are not kids. Same with Call of Duty. N64 thumbstick wasn't a true radial stick, though. It was a glorified 16 directional D-pad. You're a glorified 16-directional D-pad, Lance. Let them have it. Let them have their feather in their cap, Lance. They were the first one to put a thumbstick on a controller. No, but seriously, frick you, Lance. This guy out here talking about, well, actually, it's not really, shut up, dude. Is there a way you can see my last comment? Curious to hear your opinion. Hey, it's Chill Will says, Take-Two already does $150 versions of their games with the NBA 2K series. I said it on the poll. You think they're going to push early access? I mean, listen, there's a big debate going on right now about the GTA 6 price. There's a big debate. People were not happy. They were not happy when they saw what they saw. They were like, wait, why'd this guy say this? Why is this guy talking this kind of nonsense? GTA 6 for $100. Yeah, I'll tell you what's going on. You guys want to know what's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. There was a report put together by an analyst and basically I think it was a consulting firm or a consultant, and he was essentially saying, listen, He's like, if you want to make more money in the gaming industry, you got to find places to tap more revenue. And he was saying raising the price of a game, well, that's one way that you can make more money. And they know that raising it to 70 was a recent development, and they can't do it again anytime soon unless someone cracks a seal. And he thinks that GTA 6 could be the game to crack the seal. My personal opinion is they have a very good and vested interest to not do that because of the quantity of people that they want to be in this game. I think their business interest is different. Did you see what Hendy said about that? Yeah, Hendy seemed, Tommy Hendy, our boy Tommy Hendy, Tom Henderson. I call him Tommy Hendy because of a week we spent in Cabo together, and it's a long story, but that's why I call him that. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I've never seen him in real life. He says the analyst who said there is hope within the industry that GTA 6 will cost $100 so other publishers can follow suit needs to speak to a few more people in the industry. And this guy says, I've noticed these industry analysts really suck and seem out of touch. And Henderson says, I honestly don't know where these firms get them from. They're almost never right. So Tom Henderson seems to think that this idea about GTA 6 and the price going up, he seems to think that no, the industry is not sitting here chomping at the bit to start charging $100 for their games. Actually, you're all wrong, and I'm right, because Stone Skull says so. That's right. $100 games to continue to come out. Broken is crazy. I don't think they're going to do it. No. You've never taken me to Cabo? Well, you were going to... I invited you, Donnie, but you said you had to grind the latest Diablo 4 season. So it sucks to suck, Donnie. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But seriously, Diablo 4 is trash. No, I actually don't think they're going to raise the price of GTA 6. I outlined a bunch of reasons last week, and then people debated it all weekend. It was all over the feeds. I'm kind of bummed we didn't break that story in an upload, like shorter format. It probably would have crushed over the weekend because we would have been one of the few people talking about it. And then all the bigger YouTubers hopped on it on like Saturday and Sunday. And I'm like, God, dadgummit. I was like, we were one of the first to talk about that. So that's why I threw it back on the thumbnail today, because I figured there'd be more people coming in sharing their thoughts. I guess I'd be okay with early access at 100. I just don't have the higher price as the standard. Yeah, to me, Mango, I'm with you. I think there's a difference between paying a premium and getting in early. So if GTA 6 early access and they're like, well, you know, that's $100 premium edition and it comes with a car and a jacket and some money in the game. Oh, and also you can play early. To me, I think that's fine because you're paying for premium stuff. You're paying for premium access. People pay for early access to everything now. Like if a video hits the digital rental services, it's like $12 to rent it instead of $5 or $6. They charge you more. Why? Well, you're getting in early. You're paying for early adoption. I'm okay with that. I am. I actually don't care if they want to charge $100 for GTA 6. That's their choice. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's either a good business decision or a bad business decision, right? There's no right or wrong here. It's like, well, that's wrong. They shouldn't do that. It's their product. It's their choice. You know what I mean? If you want to open up a hot dog shop, we will get there later. You forgot Rumble? Yeah, our uploads hit Rumble on a delay. I don't think we're ever going to go day and date on Rumble, which if you guys are watching my uploads over there on Rumble, thank you very much. We've got some videos over there. I don't know what's going on, but they're just crushing. In any case, I don't think we'll ever go day and date on Rumble. We'll probably always upload first on YouTube. Switch to having negative reactions. Yeah, SpongeRoth, there were a bunch of people saying that it was boring, it wasn't exciting, it wasn't surprising, they weren't excited, they weren't impressed. I don't get where they were coming from. Guys, really, really quickly, we're lagging behind on this today. We're usually really, really good about this. Let's get to 200 likes. We're like 43 minutes in, and we've slowed down a little bit on the like count. We only need 18 more. Thank you guys so much. Always double check if you have a membership renewal. That adds to the membership count. And we've already had some gifted members to kick off the week. Thank you, Top Reply, and others who have gifted today. $80 to $100 game. Suddenly Game Pass doesn't sound so bad. Well, here's the thing. I am never going to celebrate spending more money, but I'm also not going to run from one perceived negative to another. Right? Top Reply says, I don't know if Lono seen my comment a while ago about sub being personalized versus all, but every time he says it in a video, I smile and try to take credit for it. Oh, the sub bell? I mean, a lot of people were coming in and telling me that recently. I don't know if you were the first. Grady, with 23 months of members, he says, doing my monthly check-in. Keep up the great work, brother. Hope everyone is doing well. Thank you to everybody who has been upgrading to Member Plus and above. You count towards the monthly goal when you renew. Thank you, Grady. Are Switch 2 games going to be 100 as well? I don't think so. People need to learn how to manage expectations. This happens every time something new comes out. I'm disappointed. I'm not impressed. It's too much. Lono's going to start requiring a YouTube login to have access to his uploads on Rumble, restricting hundreds of countries on top of his uploads on Rumble, coming 12 to 18 months after his uploads on YouTube. Shut up, Spice King. Rockstar is getting arrogant, says Mr. Chosen, like Sony did with the Pro, just because they can, because they know people are going to buy it regardless. Okay, so let me ask you something, Mr. Chosen. If you opened up a hot dog stand and you had this recipe of hot dogs that you knew were really good and that people were going to want, and there was a hot dog stand down the way that was charging, $3 for every hot dog, and you're like, I'm going to charge $8, and people were willing to pay it, and you were making really, really good money, and because you were making really, really good money, you were able to provide for yourself and other people, and maybe even open up another stand and another and another and another and another, right? You're able to grow and get more employees. Why would you not do that? Would you be like, well, no, it's wrong. People's expectations is that it should be $3, so I'm going to charge $3, even though the market's communicated that I could charge triple that. I'm not arguing the rightness and the wrongness of it. I'm arguing the business side of it. A business is never going to say, we can extract this much capital and revenue out of the market. We better not do that. We better voluntarily make less. I don't think you're going to find a business in operation. You're not going to find a business in operation that's going to be willing to do that, because they're not going to be a business for very long if they're not extracting as much revenue as they can out of the market. I did it. I got the shut up. My membership's been validated. Chris, with 40 months of Member Plus, I'm a man. I'm 40. That's right. Welcome back, Chris, and getting 40 months of memberships and bumping the member line for the week to 12. We're only 46 minutes into the week and off to a great start. Thanks for the 200 likes. Law of supply and demand meets scarcity. War never changes, neither does business. Hot take, GTA 6 price being 80 to 100 might actually be good because it'll scare other devs out of charging the same in fear that they'll immediately be compared to GTA 6. I actually don't know if I agree or disagree with that. I've really got to think through that, Yanadid. So what Yanadid's putting forth, DK Bager with the VIP. Thank you so much. What Yanadid's putting forth is that they'll scare other people away from doing it. Mash says, why is it a crime as an adult to like Pokemon, Mario Kart, Super Mario, Zelda, Kirby, Donkey Kong, Metroid, Mega Man, Smash Brothers, Pikmin, Splatoon, Animal Crossing, Xenoblade? It's not a crime at all. It's not a crime at all. What people don't understand is those games actually appeal to adults as much as children because many people grown up with them. It's like my kids get excited when they see Mario, and so do I, for different reasons. They've seen the Mario movie. They've played Mario Kart. I grew up with Mario. I grew up with that chubby little plumber. Okay, that's my boy. We get excited about Mario for different reasons. And that's why I think it's weird when people are like, well, those are for kids. What are you talking about? DK Bager with a single gifted member puts us at 14 on the week. Thank you so much, DK. My man, DK. My daughter loves Diddy Kong, and she likes that scene in the movie. DK, DK. JG from Space says, why would GTA be more expensive than any other game? Where is this coming from? Is this purely speculation or based on something? And a VIP from Toasted Notes puts us at 15, but we're not going to stay there for long because a 20 bomb comes in from MASH and gets us to 35 members. MASH has had some tag team partners. There were some big boys on Friday. Gambit, Zero, and Rissick and others have been dropping the big bombs. We need more tag team champions in here. You can't have MASH doing it all. Thank you so much, MASH. That's our first 35 of the week. As far as whether or not GTA 6 could be 100, it's coming from an analyst. And that analyst basically said that the market is, the gaming market and the execs and the C-suite, they are trying to figure out how to extract more money from the market. And he basically said, well, one great way to do that is to raise your prices, okay? That's a delicate balance. It's not super easy to do, okay? It's not super easy to do. However, he said, GTA 6 could be one of the first. And there he is, Gambit Zero with the 5-bomb, and he gets us 10 away from the first 50 of the week. I'm sorry, whoops, that is not right. I said 50 and just typed it. He gets us 10 away from the first 50 of the week, but then a single's going to come in from Alonzo and put us to 41. Thank you so much, Alfonso. So he's not saying that it will. He's saying if somebody's going to move the needle on video game price, GTA 6 is the game that could do it, right? He's an analyst. He's a consultant, and he's saying, listen, you guys are trying to make more money. You can use microtransactions. You can have, additive content. You can have ongoing services. You can do all these various things. And he's like, and then there's this other way. You can raise your prices. And he basically said, if there's a game that could pull this off, it'd be GTA 6, because the market would say, well, how dare you, sir? Here is my credit card. It would be a grumpy purchase, but it would still be a purchase. We've all been there. We've all been to the thing or the place or the movie or the event where we're like, well, this is a little bit more expensive than I anticipated, but I got to be a part of what's going on. I want to get inside. I want the thing, and then you'll pay. We've all been there. How much do you think the Switch 2 games will cost? I think Switch 2 games will be $70. Let's stop talking about it so we don't manifest it into reality. No, we should talk about it. One thing the market should do is express very clearly, hey, we don't want you to do that. The problem is they know you're full of crap and you're going to buy it anyway. Right? You just randomly got a membership. If you've watched my content infrequently or frequently enough, you sometimes get a gifted membership. It means you get into our morning segment called Morning Coffee when we start the day, and then a Friday segment with the community, as well as a Friday night segment with my wife. If you guys have never supported a channel directly before, consider doing it right now. Just make sure you pick Member Plus. You push join, you pick that membership, $6 a month, and you get into a whole second side of the channel. People were up in arms over $70, and after a year, they forgot all about it. Right. I don't think it'll happen this generation, says Wheezy. I personally don't think that they will do it. I don't. I think that Rockstar stands to get better treatment in the market if they do, a $100 version where you get a car and some clothes and stuff, and then you get early access. And then you have the $70 version for people that are okay to wait. I think they'll probably fare better in the market if they do that, as opposed to just coming out swinging and being like, well, we're Rockstar after all, so we're going to come out here and we're going to charge, the $100 for base or whatever. We're not hyping Code Violet. I deleted my tweet, FCat, because I saw the developers who were making it, and I was like, oh, these are the incredibly unprofessional developers who made a garbage game called Quantum Error, and they acted like petulant children when I tried them to do them a solid by not reviewing their garbage heap of a game. So when I saw it was their game, I deleted my tweet. I didn't know it was them. I was like, oh, this game looks hot. And then Paul was like, it looks like an asset dump. And I was like, really? And then I looked into who the developer was, and I was like, oh, yeah, it probably is a chintzy asset dump that'll run like garbage, given the developer's history, as well as their unprofessionalism on Twitter. They basically signal boosted a harassment hate campaign against me because I tried to do them a solid. It's like, your game is not ready. and I didn't feel like ripping into you into a review, and you repaid my kindness by signal boosting a hate campaign against me. Wow, you're so professional. The last game was an asset dump. Yeah, it looks like they're getting ready to do another one. I'll tell you what, let the devs know. You send me a code, I'll review your game this time. I'll do it. Yeah, I got no problem reviewing your game this time. Yeah, and they're trying to signal boost their game with controversy, exactly. Mash says, I think I probably wouldn't buy GTA 6 if they made it like 150 out of principle for the base game, but probably buy it for less. I think that's the tension point, Mash, is the demand for GTA 6 is so high. Will they be tempted to say, let's go as close to the breaking point as we can? Or will they say, it's better for us to play it, maybe not play it safe. That's not the right phrase. Maybe they're going to say, hey, it's better for us to treat the market in a way that's more conducive to what they're used to, and let's leverage early access. $100 premium version, you get pre-order bonuses, you get premium bonuses, and then you get to play a week early or something. That, you got to think, the demand for this game is so dadgum high. The percentage of people that would be like, just give me the $100 version, I want to get in there with everybody else, I feel like that would be like the majority of the people buying the game. I don't feel like that would hurt demand. If anything, it might make the demand go up. People might feel like, hey, this is well worth it. I've been waiting for this game for so long. I want to be in there as soon as humanly possible. Here's the thing. They can get away with $80 to $90, says Wheezy, but I don't think they will do it now. The large audience getting GTA 6 doesn't give a crap what the price is. Zubair says, give the people willing to spend the deluxe and collector's editions. If they want to bring any new people in, you can't raise the price. Yeah, that's why I think it'll ultimately be at 70, because this is what I said, Wheeze. I said, I think they want to get as many people in as possible, because GTA 6 Online is going to be a huge priority for them. That's a huge priority. Spider Senseless with the first submitted question of the day. Let's take a peek-see at it here. Let's see what you're saying. Yeah, I said peek-see. I'm not taking it back. We're going to leave that in. We're not editing that out in post. Spider Senseless says, I have my own price theory for GTA 6. They do a base of 60. Huh? Early access for 70 and ultimate for 80 to 100 and give the player full choice with their wallet. Best of all worlds? No. I'm going to tell you something right now. You're dead wrong. And I'm going to tell you why. There is quite literally no way they would get away with charging less money than the industry standard when they stand to sell millions of copies. You want to explain to the shareholders why you turned away $10 times millions? You want to explain to them why you did that? Homie, you are dead wrong. There is no way they would do that. Their shareholders would be on the phone so fast the phone would ring on fire. Like, ring, ow, my hand, what's the problem? Are you crazy? What are you doing? Like, they would never do that. The industry standard right now for your big AAA games is $70. You got to think, in those early months, they're selling millions upon millions of copies. Just multiply that by $10, and you got to explain to the shareholders why you turned away that revenue. Buddy, you'd be fired. They'd be like, you're out of a job. What did you do and why? They're literally the first company to raise games to 70 on next gen. Yeah. So I don't dislike your theory as it's structured, that you would have like your base price and then like your ultimates and your early access. I don't dislike that. You just got your numbers all wrong. If you were on The Price is Right, you'd be going home right now. They'd be like, that noise that they make when somebody fails. You know what I mean? Lona, your phones are catching on fire. Is that a Kentucky thing? No, it's not a Kentucky thing. It's a thing that happens if Madam calls me and I haven't picked up in a while. She said she had to install some kind of an app on my phone, so she always knows where I am. And then also, if I don't pick up on the third ring, it lights on fire. I thought that was normal. That's not... Is that not a thing? Do your wives do that? If 80 would increase the health of gaming, I'm all for it, says Ghostface. Yeah, I mean, there's give and take here because people are obviously going to be extremely against any sort of price increase, okay? And in my estimation, the people that are pushing back against that are far more principled sometimes than you need to be. Like, I think it's good to have principles. Let me clear out the question command too, by the way, so when people submit, they get a better queue count instead of like just a random number. Okay, there we go. I think they're far more principled than they need to be about it. They're very much like, nope, we cannot allow this. We cannot allow this. This is wrong, okay? These are the same people that will obviously get upset if a game is delayed. These are the same people that will get upset if a game comes out and is not ready. These are the same people that will either be against crunch or pro crunch. Either way, crunch doesn't help, right? It doesn't help. Crunch makes the end product worse. So you have to ask yourself in the give and take and again, you've got to think like a business. If the businesses constantly feel like they cannot extract enough profit and revenue out of the market, one of two things will happen. They will either go somewhere else with their expertise, like mobile or, chintzy, hollow gacha games, or they will simply shrink operation costs and then therefore potentially shrink projects and just exacerbate an existing problem. So the relationship between the consumer and the developer is not one of war where we're like, no, you better not charge more money. There has to be an equilibrium hit within the market so that they can continue to make really big games and maintain their budgets and their deadlines, and we are happy with the exchange of value to dollars. That has to be a continued give and take relationship. If you just cross your arms and the market says no, absolutely not, we will never allow for another price hike. It's like, well, every other entertainment venue has gone through this, and they have to get to a point where prices go up to maintain what they're trying to create, and then the consumers respond accordingly. Weezy says, I'll say it. Gaming is the only form of entertainment that we basically had no ticket price increase. The cost of making games has gone up in 30 years. We're paying basically the same. We're actually paying less, according to inflation. Video games back in the day, you're spending roughly $100 to $130 depending. People want experimental games but are resistant to price increases. This is why we get so many remasters and remakes. Devs have to pick safe projects because of how much everything costs. Right. So I'm not saying, oh yeah, raise the prices, please. Raise the prices, squeeze my wallet. Oh, I can't wait to pay more money, right? But I'm also like, I want games to keep coming out. I want the gaming industry to keep going. Am I covering the Phantom Blade trailer this week? It depends on when it releases. We'll see. I don't know do we know the exact time of day they're releasing the Phantom Blade Zero trailer? I believe it's gameplay. There's also the there's also the Xbox Developer Direct this week. There is also AC Shadows preview embargo, I believe drops the same day as the Dev Direct, which I wonder if AC Shadows will be at that event. A brand new Japanese no. Edward Hulse with a Member Plus renewal. Nintendo growing up. Eternal Strands demo releases tomorrow. Starfield going multiplat. It's never boring day in the news on Reforge Gaming. Thank you, Edward Hulse. And he gets us 8 away from our 50. I tell you what, I owe you guys 5 for the first 25. I was going to do it as a 10 bomb because I thought we were going to hit that 50 real quick. But I'll do my 5 now. Stoke those fires. We're 8 away. Feels Good Man says, I can't wait until Nintendo moves on from the Switch concept and does something new. Like what? The medium can't change eternally. The medium can't change eternally. Like this idea that, well, Nintendo should have done something new. They should have done something new. What do you mean? Whatever they make, they got to sell it. So they got to make something that people want. They got to make something that people want. They can't just gamble and be like, well, let's just completely change the medium one more time and hope that it does well. That's absurd. They're still a business at the end of the day. I like Nintendo when they're spunky and playful and they try something new, but I also don't want them to fail. Like, they can't just be like, well, yeah, I mean, let's just try and completely change the medium again. Yeah, let's do a Switch U. No, I think they found a format that worked really well and the market responded very positively to. I think doing a jettison out from that would be a grave error. If the story is really impactful, says MASH, you can bet there will be some people that will do like 20 hours on a day for the first 2 to 3 days to spoil a story a day or two in before you get a chance to get there. I mean, that's possible. Weezy says, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. The barrier for entry is basically the same or cheaper with inflation. The cost of developing has increased by roughly tenfold in 30 years. That's what people don't seem to understand. Like, there were games back then. What did we look up the one time? Like, 3 of the most successful Nintendo 64 games, like, ever created, were basically, like, they were all 3 of them made on, like, what you would consider today to be, like, a shoestring budget. It was, like, 3 games for $11 million or something stupid like that. I mean, it was absolutely insane. He was like, there ain't no way you made those three super popular, super awesome games for, $12 million. Ain't no way. Which, by the way, I got to hand it to Insider Gaming with their tweet. I really got to do... Hang on, let me just show you this. So, the story that we ran about Starfield coming to the Nintendo Switch, I just want to just say that I appreciate the finer things in life, I'm very cultured. I appreciate good artwork. And this is just, I thought was a very... Starfield and Fallout 4 are coming to Nintendo Switch 2. It is claimed. And that's just good art. It was combined for the cost of like one Super Bowl ad. And MASH with the 5 bomb says, come on, boys, let's get to the next one. He's like, I can't do it all. And he gets us to 47. We need 3 singles, and we'll be at 50. And I'll drop another 5 bomb. Xbox is working on a new Cypher series controller. It is claimed. What's the Cypher? So that another one? A new one? So that they already have one? What's the Cypher? Oh, the one with the grips on the side? Xbox Cypher? Sky Cypher Special Edition. So, I don't pay much attention to their controllers, if I'm honest, especially after what happened with my dadgum Elites that kept breaking. So, the Cypher series. Okay, so they're working on a new Cypher series controller. Yeah, that's not really worth paying any attention to. It's just a controller. Ashton says, I'd be happy to pay $100 for a game. I did with Space Marine 2. It feels worth it. Was Starfield a $100 base price game? Was Diablo 4? Well, there's a couple of things that go into this debate. If you're just tuning in, we're discussing the GTA 6 price debate. We covered it on Friday, and then a bunch of other outlets picked up the same analyst report that I reported on. They didn't pick up my report. We found this analyst report, so I reported on it. And a bunch of other outlets picked up the story over the weekend, and they looked at the same analyst report, and everybody started debating whether or not GTA 6 could have a price increase. So a lot of you are finding this stream today looking for GTA 6, okay? So that's how we're talking about it. And Ashen's saying, listen, I'd pay $100 for a game that I really liked, but what about games that don't land as good? 450 crazy. Why? It is $350 right now for an OLED, and that is still at its core an 8-year-old Switch with a better screen. I don't know why people think $450 for the Switch 2 is so much. It's $350 right now for an OLED. That is still That is still an 8-year-old device that they put an OLED on. It's not stronger, better, faster, none of that. It's an 8-year-old device that they put a better screen on, and it's $350. You really think they're going to give you a Switch 2 for $50 more bucks? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Not for a minute. I just don't think so. That feels too low. Anyways, we're discussing, prices, and when Ashton says what he says about like, well, I'd spend $100 for Space Marine, but like, what about games that were disappointing like Starfield or Diablo 4? Okay, that's a fair question, right? That's a fair question. Here's what I say in response. I think a price increase in the market can benefit the consumer if, this is conditional, it can benefit the consumer if the first couple of games to do it raise the quality bar so much that anybody else that tries to do it is going to be held to a standard that would benefit us. Like they would say, like reviews would start to say, at this price point, this game is not at the caliber that we've come to expect. Now, that's why the $70 price point, sadly, really hasn't done that. Unfortunately, it hasn't really done that. I think that it should. I think that should be a metric of analysis. It should be a metric of analysis. What's good, Purple Haze? Like, hey, this is a $70 game. It's got problems. It didn't ship at quality. Like, the difference between a game shipping at quality and a game shipping that, and I'm not talking about a day one patch. I'm talking about like games that clearly aren't ready. The features get added later. 60 FPS gets added in later. Game-breaking bugs, glitches, rampant performance problems. That's not a game at quality. So if you're going to ship it and it's at the highest degree, or it's at the premium level of quality, well then yeah, I don't care if you charge more, because now all these other studios are going to be held to a standard of, listen, you can't come into the market and charge $100 for your game if it's not going to be ready. The dilemma I think that would enter the picture is some of the greatest offenders are the bigger games, because they can kind of rest on their laurels and they're like, well, I mean, we're super popular, so the number of people who bought Diablo 4 day one almost sort of overrides the struggle. But you see, the industry does not like being held to a standard. See the response to Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring, other games that do deserve the $100. Here's the difficulty with that, Ashen. Everybody looked at Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring in the wake of their releases and said, these are impeccable games. We could say the same thing about GTA 6 in the wake of the game's release. Like, hindsight could communicate and say, yeah, this game's incredible. This game should have been more money, or whatever, like whatever the case may be. I think that's the challenge, is the developers and the publishers are going to make sure that if they raise the price of their game, you're not really going to know the quality until it's too late. Until it's too late. It's like, well, it's too late. Like, you either pre-ordered it and then the embargo dropped like day of or something like that. You'd almost want, and I don't know how you do this, but you'd want some sort of an industry standard. Like, well, if you're going to charge $100 for your game, then the review embargo needs to be, a full week ahead of time. It needs to be a full week ahead of time. You can't, I don't think you could be able to, because then people need to know before the game comes out what the caliber of the game is at. You can't just be like, well, yeah, it's $100 and review embargo's day of release, and then nobody has a clue how, the quality of the game. I think the only way you win this fight is by having embargoes that are a week before the game comes out. You get a game comes out, hits Metacritic and OpenCritic, it's 92, that's its score. I think people would say, "Oh, I'll spend that. I'll buy that game for $100. It did so incredibly well." If the game, has a review embargo that's 24 hours before the game even comes out, and you don't really have time to like check the reviews or check the players or the streamers, well, then you can't be charging $100 for that, because now nobody knows, because then you're going to get stuck with it. But again, that's going to be one of the challenges that you're going to have, is that they have a vested interest in not letting you see their game in a negative light. So if there's any doubt at all at the publisher, if there's any doubt at all at the developer, they're not going to let you see the game that early, and they'll just charge you the $100 and then hope to extract as much as they can out of the market. Does that make sense? Like, they at some level, there is an us versus them here. I don't like giving into the diatribes and the ideologues who basically use this as a way to sort of like grift and create this idea that like all the companies are evil and we're out here, you know, trying to fight the good fight or whatever. I think a lot of that's just completely made up. But I do think at some level it is an us versus them, because we have a vested interest in extracting as much value as we can out of the market. They have a vested interest in extracting as much revenue as they can get out of the market. And those two things do not always align. Purple Haze with the $5 super chat says, have we talked about the Nintendo model of getting 2 games for $100, bringing up as there are pricing models that can keep prices down and spread out? I'm not familiar with that model, but I am familiar with the internal documents from Insomniac that leaked, where they were looking at Spider-Man 3 being sold in 2 parts for $50 a piece. So in the end, it would be $100. I think the dilemma that they would run into is you're likely going to see diminished sales on your part 2. So it would stand to reason, and a lot of your analysts and a lot of your advisors are going to say, well, it would make more sense to just raise the price to 80 and just sell the game and get as much as you can at the 80 price point, instead of trying to do the first instead of trying to do the first part for 50 and then hoping the second part sells just as well. You see what I'm saying? Like, you tend to see diminished sales on the second, so they would potentially lose. Excuse me. Would $100 hype price for the first month make sense? I'm not sure what you mean. The way highly anticipated games that way highly anticipated games get their extra money, and the people that can't afford it wait to continue sales in the hype month long. I'm having a really hard time understanding what you're saying. You're saying do 100 for the first month and then lower it after? Dockable is a buzzword. It's just HDMI in a box. PSP phones, other handhelds have a video out. Being able to use HDMI out with a portable is standard practice today. Well, dockable is not a buzzword. That's not true, because once docked, it does behave differently even on the Switch 1. So it stands to reason that when this thing is docked, we may get different performances. The dock itself is not simply a fancy HDMI cable. That is simply untrue. It makes the device... Now, there's no power to harness in the dock. There's no power in the Switch 1, but there could be in the Switch 2. There's rumors that docked, you're going to see differences in performance. We'll obviously have to wait and see. But, like, as an example, the docked version of Breath of the Wild performs differently than the undocked version because of something to do with the power and the resolution. I can't remember what it was. I believe once docked, it has access to more power, so it raises the resolution, and it actually gets less consistent frames because of that. The Switch dock is not just a glorified HDMI cable. It isn't. That's a misrepresentation of what the device offers. So now, if they have the option to just plug this thing into a TV like when you're on the road with an HDMI cable, I'll be curious to see if there are then 3 ways to play the Switch 2. Docked, which would then hopefully then bump power to some degree, undocked, and then on a cable, which would be basically identical to undocked, just on a bigger screen. Brett Williams submits a question. Do you think, aside from early access and special editions, Rockstar might charge for GTA Online separately? I could see them doing that. $70 to keep people happy, online sold separately. I don't think this would be a strategy we would ever see from a company of this size, because the last thing they want to do is put a price barrier between you and the online. Online would either be just included in the base game, or if it's a separate download, it would be totally free. Because you want that funnel of players to be at maximum capacity, at maximum size, so they can extract as much money as they can from the GTA 6 audience. So GTA 6 Online, I cannot see there being a price tag on that. I can't. The law of live service is make it free. That's like the unwritten law from on high. You know what I'm saying? Like, Fortnite came down from the mountainside and said, if you don't obey this law, you will be smited. And we've seen it go poorly for games that have tried to charge money for a live service game. It doesn't work. I don't think you can put a barrier of entry price on a live service game. You're affecting your maximum funnel. I think all the research into this would back me and show that you simply have to make the online aspect free. If you then want to extract money from the consumer by having a membership, by having microtransactions or monthly fees or things like that, that would be then additive on top. Like what they do with ESO. The price tag is GTA 6. The price tag could be GTA 6, but they could also say, hey, GTA 6 Online could be a separate free download. I don't know, unless you're Helldivers. I think when you're a live service PvE game, it's different. And I think GTA Online is at such a size and such a potential volume mover, I don't see them saying, oh no, we want to put a price tag on the online. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that runs counter to everything we know about these types of games. Helldivers is a bit of an exception. Even Destiny, as a PvE game, gave people a free entry. Now, I don't know if we'll ever see that from Helldivers, right? I don't know if we'll ever see them say, oh, well, we should probably make this free. We should probably make this free. I'm sorry, or we should probably charge for it or whatever. I don't know if they're ever going to make that decision. Currently, you can get GTA 5 online separately from GTA 5 if all you want is online. And am I to understand, Wheezy, that that's a free download? Because they just, in my mind, the business model is get as many people in the funnel as possible. I don't think they would want to put a price tag on it unless they're just that cocky. If you just want to download that, what does it cost? Is it free? Thanks for the $5. I'm not reading your message. If you want to hate watch, that's fine. I'll gladly take your money, but I'm not gonna. You're not gonna pay me to read your dribble. You know. Hang on one second. I just want to make sure this is accurate. Yeah. You also sound like your profile picture. GTA 5 comes with both. Online's $20 if you don't want the GTA 5 story. So they do charge money. Well, then that sort of goes hand in hand with a lot of the speculation about the $100 price point. They definitely can break from what consumer expectation is. You know what I mean? They break from what consumer expectation is. Like, consumer expectation is that kind of a game would be free, and they're like, no, we're going to charge $20. It's one of the most played live service games in existence. So it stands to reason then that I would be incorrect then. They would charge money for GTA 6 online. They're like, no, if you want to play like what they're doing with 5, they would do the same thing. They would be like, yeah, here, it's $20 if you want to get in. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, they kind of proved my prediction wrong by the fact that they charged $20 for GTA 5 online at a time where most everybody expects to get into a live service game for free. They put a price on online for Red Dead Redemption 2. Right. So, I mean, that really does... I think that shows you could literally see a GTA 6 price at 100 and the online is 20. I mean, they literally could be that cocky. I still think that what they'll do with base price is they'll leave it at 70 and they'll have like premium editions and early access to drive folks to the 100. You know, to like, if you want to get in early, if what is this? Oh, it's spam. I'm getting these weird spam voice calls now. GTA 5 comes with both. Yeah. They'll probably still do that then. I mean, if it works so well with GTA 5, I can't see them breaking pattern then. They'll be like, no, yeah, you charge full price for the game. Online's thrown in. If people want it separately, charge them, $20. And people will be willing to pay the $20. Again, that kind of goes back to what I said to the first question of the day, where they were like, oh, well, they'll only charge $60 for the base. And it's like, there's literally no way they would do that, because if they did that, they'd have to explain to the shareholders why they let, millions of people not spend $10, As much as folks will complain, I do think they end up selling like hotcakes regardless, for sure. GTA and Red Dead Redemption exist in a unique space in that there's a massive single-player experience. Other live service games do not have this. That's fair pushback, Lance. I mean, that is very fair pushback, that like when you play Apex or you play Fortnite or you play Warzone, that's it. And I think that's where people are going to break, I think, expectation on PlayStation live service games like Marathon or Fair Games. People are going to say, why in the world would I spend $40 if that is literally all I get? And GTA is also at a different level of popularity. When you have that level of popularity and prestige and like everybody wants to play your game, well, I mean, you can kind of get away with stuff like that. You can get away with charging for things that other people can't do, Yeah, it'll be interesting because I do think we're gonna see some changes over the next 5 or 10 years with game prices. I have actually kind of thought that at some level you'll even see companies say, like what we're seeing with Claire Obscura Expedition 33. It's a AAA quality game, but they're a AA studio. I mean, it looks like AAA quality to me. They're a AA studio, and their game's like 35 hours long, and they're only charging like $50 for their game. And I wonder if you're going to start to see that. Are we going to start to see, smaller studios, smaller budgets say, hey, we can afford to do this at 50 and we'll be okay. And that might drive sales to increase for us because we've not proven ourselves. You got some big proven studio like Rockstar, they might be able to be a company that would walk out and charge more. But the more mid-sized company is going to have to take a more tempered approach about like, well, yeah, there's $70 games out there. Ours is 50 because, we're not at the... We've not necessarily earned public trust or the confidence yet. I think that you could see more studios start to do that. I don't know if GTA 6 is going to be the one to spark the flame of a price increase. I feel like that would happen on the next gen. I feel like PlayStation 6 is when you would see base prices bump to 80. Because they'd be like, yeah, I mean, you can buy games on the PS5 or the Pro for 70, that's fine. But you know, we've got our brand new PS6, and those games are 80. Street Shadow says, I'm not sure others said it, but if GTA 5 they didn't charge for online only after like 10 years. I think it was so if you just wanted online it was an option. Well, it was my understanding that GTA 5 you just got online included, and then now you can buy it separately for $20. Like they slice it off and it's sold as a separate purchase. So they will probably continue the same trend with GTA 6. Guys, if you haven't done so already, we've been streaming for about an hour and a half. Great start to the week. Could we get 300 likes? We only need 50 of you right now. Hit like if you haven't. We've been discussing the GTA 6 price. A lot of people were talking about it over the weekend. We covered it on Friday. It's continued to be a discussion about where the industry is going. I have a video right now on the channel. The reaction to the Nintendo Switch 2 was a bit mixed. There were people that were a little bit more muted, disappointed, or unhappy. And the funny thing was, I didn't anticipate that at all. I watched it and was like super, super excited. But my conclusion was that Nintendo is growing up. And that video is live on the channel right now. Thank you everybody who has left comments. And we have a comment right now from Mr. BD. Third-party developers are going to have to develop for another piece of hardware. Could this delay games? I ask because the Switch 2 is weaker than the Series S. Since it's a handheld primarily, there are going to be limitations. I think the big first wave of games will be games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and others that are already in the market and are ported. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to see like your big first party or your big AAA third party. I don't know if those games are going to be like, we've got to be on the Switch 2 day one. If the devs say that's going to really, really slow down dev time. You know, we can't do that. Yeah, it'll be interesting as an experiment what sort of a factor the Switch 2 plays in third-party games. Like, let's just take an example that I think is going to be very easy to predict is both coming, but will also be on the Switch 2, okay? Hogwarts Legacy 2. Are they going to build that game from the very beginning with that in mind? Well, we better make sure and make a version that can run on Switch 2 instead of making them wait like last time. Because last time, you know, they had to wait almost the entire year before it landed on the Switch, and the port was quite good. Could they work in tandem with that Shiver porting company that Nintendo purchased? I don't know. But Hogwarts Legacy 2 is almost assuredly coming to the market. It would almost assuredly land on the Switch 2, but would they want to do that with their development? Like, so basically you'd be building a game for PS5, if you want to do anything with the PS5 Pro enhancements, PC, Xbox, and Switch 2. And since they already have an existing engine, I mean, maybe the port could help in that regard. Maybe Hogwarts 1 could help. Like, if it's already been ported, maybe they're able to use that to somehow build within, so the second one already kind of has a framework of performance. An engine. It's got a 90% on Steam. So Hogwarts has almost 250,000 reviews on Steam. So it did very well on Steam. So the PC version must have been, a quality and well-built version because it has a good score. You're not going to see big expansive games like Wukong or Jedi Survivor. I don't think they'll waste the resources or they'll make one extremely stripped back. Well, and what we know about development is when you try to build for the lowest common denominator, it slows down development and it affects the final product. So, the Switch could be a factor in that. It could end up causing dev companies and publishers to say that platform's too lucrative for us to not be there. And I've always been against multi-plat releases that are just, if you're just chasing the dollar, then the quality of the game is going to be diminished. I can't imagine a game at the level of quality that we've seen in something like let's just say Horizon Forbidden West, specifically what they did in the Burning Shores DLC. I can't imagine a dev team working on a game at that level of caliber and graphics and the size of the fights and everything. I can't imagine them suddenly being tasked with, you got to get this to run. You got to get this to run on the Switch too. I would be worried about what that would do to the quality of the work. I'm of the belief that the higher in price, the less of the more premium the product and the less percentage that the market should hit that price. Currently, I think $70 should only be hit by 10 or 20% of the market. Oh, you don't think most of the games coming out, Krebsy, should be 70? You think they should be less? Okay. Guys, double check that it saved your like. We got a lot of people here today. 300 likes. We should have hit that a while ago. YouTube could be acting up. Sometimes it doesn't save your like, so double check that. The other day when I said that it wasn't saving, all of a sudden we got like 40 likes all at once. So make sure it didn't like give you that weird glitch. Mr. Chosen says the next system after the Switch 2 will be the actual new console, not another refresh. This probably means the Switch 2 Lite is probably coming too. So after that, you'll get Nintendo's new hardware. I don't see this as a refresh. No, I think when they do the Nintendo Direct in April, I think it'll be clear this is not just a refresh. This is a brand new device that people are going to want. They're not going to, I don't think people are going to sit on the sidelines and say, oh, it's just a refresh. I really, truly don't think so. I think that once there's a good catalyst in place for people to say, I have to have that, whether it's an exclusive, which I continue to think Mario Kart 9 will be an exclusive. When that happens, I think people will see this is not just a refresh. When we see some of those early sales reports, I don't think people are, oh yeah, it's just a refresh, it's just a refresh. It can't be a refresh after 8 years. I think that's absurd. That's an absurd thing to claim. The Switch launched in 2017. It's been 8 years. I think calling this a refresh is completely a miscategorization of what's going on. What does that sound? If developers target the Switch 2, then those games will just be held back, says Chris. Developers that push limits and move forward. Hang on, I gotta text my wife. That noise needs to stop, please. My son's doing something. It's like, I don't know what it is. It might be my daughter on her roller skates. I'm not sure if they're going to target the Switch 2, Chris. I think you're going to see a huge wave. You're going to see a huge wave of games come to the Switch, but they're going to be games that were already in the market, like Red Dead Redemption 2, if what we're hearing like Elden Ring, Fallout 4, Starfield, the Halo Master Chief Collection. Well, these are games that are already in the market that they can work on a port, especially if Shiver as a company is really good at porting to the Switch 2. They were good at porting to the Switch 1 with Hogwarts and Mortal Kombat. So if they're good at that, then, that's what I think the first wave will be. I don't know if the goal here is, excuse me. I don't think the goal is to be like, well, our next big open world RPG, like let's take Elder Scrolls 6 as an example. Excuse me. Let's take Elder Scrolls 6 as an example. I don't think that they would build Elder Scrolls 6 and be like, oh, it's got to be on the Switch too. That just doesn't seem like a good lineup. MK was not a good port. I thought I read that Shiver did a good job with both the Mortal Kombat and the Hogwarts port. Or maybe I misread it and it was that the Hogwarts port was good, but Mortal Kombat wasn't. I might have misread that. Shiver Nintendo Switch port. I thought they did both, and I swore I read that they were good. Yeah, they did. They did Mortal Kombat and Hogwarts. You guys are saying that the Mortal Kombat port was not good? Well, then that kind of makes it a question mark then. They've got one good port and one bad port under their belt. It could have been, I wonder if it was issues with just how fast Mortal Kombat has to run comparatively. Like Hogwarts doesn't quite have the same level of speed and graphics that you might find in Mortal Kombat. I don't know. That kind of shakes my confidence in the porting company then. They got a good one and a bad one. It was big trash. It was so bad at launch, but I heard it was better after some patches. Look it up. I mean, I trust you guys. There's enough of you saying it. I don't feel like I need to look it up. I don't think you guys are in here just just lying to me. So if you guys are just tuning in, we've been talking about a lot of different subjects. The GTA 6 price debate. There was more GTA 6 leaked gameplay. And so we appreciate you tuning in and being here. We're also talking about game prices. We're also talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 and what third-party developers are going to do as they strategize about bringing games to the Switch 2. Could it be as simple as using a porting company or parallel development? We're hearing that the porting company that Nintendo bought didn't do a good job with Mortal Kombat, but they did a good job with Hogwarts. I must have read a report that either maybe they were speaking out of turn or maybe I misinterpreted what the report said. Oh, you just want to get me to laugh. Oh, I think I remember seeing screenshots, but I thought that was of Street Fighter. Like everything was like really like low res. The Mortal Kombat 1 Switch port looked like Skibidi Toilet. The characters were laughable. All right, look up Mortal Kombat on the Switch if you don't believe us. I mean, I made it clear I believe you guys. I don't think you guys would lie about this. We could obviously look it up for the lulz. MK1 Switch gameplay. Dear Lord, even the thumbnails are bad. Oh, before and after? So have they done some patches? It looks like they've improved it quite a bit. Oh, wow. I mean, that's... Supremacy with a $5 Super Chat tip says, if the Switch 2 ends up being a slightly beefed up PS4, then considered a cross-gen console. From an ROI standpoint, then that checks out for everyone. Thank you, Supremacy. We're 2 Super Chats away from confetti. We're 3 members away from 50. If you guys have membership renewals, man, hit those. Yeah, I mean, everything has been pretty severely improved here. Now, obviously, if you compare it to the Series X or the PlayStation, I mean, it's good. They're going to look dramatically different, but it looks like they did fix a lot of the issues with detail. I mean, it's still a Switch, man. Like, I don't know what people are expecting. Oh, my lands. Oh, wow. That was a pretty good change, though. I mean, that's a pretty good change. I mean, again, that's not bad. That's not bad for the Switch. That's not terrible. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go out of my way to play that, but it was better. Nightmare Fuel? Yeah, that was pretty... it was Nightmare Fuel. It was pretty bad. That was the famous one. I can fix her. You have to use the PFP after that. Please enter a name. I can fix her. Oh my gosh. Why are we looking at screenshots of Redfall? I just walked in. Third party on Nintendo is for people whose only console is Nintendo. It's all about the first party and the indies. That's what I'm saying. I don't see a lot of people buying a Nintendo Switch 2 and being like, yo, I really want to make sure this is like my main gaming system. I want to play this thing full time. I'm gonna play all my third parties here, you know. So I just don't think that... I think most people that buy the Nintendo Switch are buying it for the Nintendo games. Now, yes, if third-party games hit, they probably would sell decently well just because there's so many of them. But I think the average person, especially the people that hang on like Twitter and YouTube, I don't think they would buy the Nintendo Switch 2 and make it their primary gaming device. That sentiment is why I'm not excited for the Switch 2. The idea that like, oh, it's okay to look like that because it's a Switch is why I can't support it. But why would you hold them to a standard that doesn't make any sense? Right? I don't understand that. I understand not being interested in the device. I don't understand being like, well, I'm not interested in the device because I'm holding them to a standard that's nonsensical. Like, it would be like trying to play a game on your phone and being like, well, it doesn't look like the PS5 Pro, so I'm never going to play a game on my phone. Like, I don't think anybody's saying, oh, it's okay, it's on the Switch. It's just like, we have reasonable expectations of what the device can do. I'll give you an example. It would be like going to a Steam Deck and me saying, if this can't give me native 4K 60, I don't want to buy it, and don't tell me that it's okay because it's the Steam Deck. Like, I have to have reasonable expectations of the device given its raw power and then judge it within that. I think that's what a lot of people do with things like the Steam Deck. Like, they hold it to the standard that it aims to hit, not a standard that it can't hit. Does that make sense? You're allowed to not want it. I'm not saying you should get the Switch 2 or you should support Nintendo. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying holding them to a standard that isn't technically possible and then being like, well, they don't hit the standard, therefore I don't want it. That'd be like buying a 20 series video card right now or a 30 series video card and being like, if it can't run full native 4K with path tracing, ray tracing, I don't want to use DLSS, I don't want to use any upscaling, and it better be able to do all that. Well, it can't do that, and that's why I'm not buying the cards. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. You're basically saying it can't do this, and because it can't do this, it shouldn't be excused for not doing this, I guess. That's why I don't get it. Why doesn't the cell phone have the same graphical power as a 5090? This is BS. Yeah, see what I'm saying? Like, I think maybe you should just, maybe you would say it another way and it would make more sense. I think the reason it's not making any sense is you're basically saying it can't do this, and because it can't do this, we shouldn't ever give it excuses as to not hitting this. It's like, well, no, what? It can't do that. That's why it's not going to have games that look like that. It's not an excuse. It's an understanding of the power of the device. Yeah, he's not saying it's trash. He's not saying it's trash. Guys, take a quick second. YouTube's being really strange today. We need 20 more likes on the video. I'm not really sure why this is happening, and I don't know if maybe we're on a runner somewhere, and there's a bunch of you watching that aren't logged in. Take a quick second and double check that. That we should have had that. Randall with a member. Welcome back in, Randall. The Switch taught us that tons of people want to play their games handheld. Switch is why we have Steam Decks and ROG Allies now. And a VIP from Stone Spire bumps the membership line to 48. Thank you so much. This is the best channel and community on YouTube. Nowhere else can you get this kind of content and truth and entertainment. Keep up the great work, Lono. 3 months to the red badge. Thank you, sir. Thank you for 21 months of membership. We hold every other product to that standard. No, we don't. If PlayStation or Xbox made games that look like Nintendo Switch games, they'd have a field day with it. Even PS4 and Xbox One games. Okay, You just made my argument for me. Corey, what you're saying is absolutely... there's no logic to it. There's nothing reasonable about this. There's no logic here. I hold a system to the standard that they claimed they could hit or that they are powerful enough to hit. This is why I refuse to buy and play 30 FPS games. This is why I rolled credits on Plague Tale Requiem last week, and I had a great time. Why? They upgraded it to 60. I knew that game could run at 60. It had no excuse running at 30. I hold the systems to the standard that they outline they can hit. So yeah, I hold the Series X to a standard it has failed to hit. I hold the PS5 to the same standard. It's why I stopped playing Final Fantasy 16. I hold the Nintendo Switch 1 to the standard it set out to hit, which was not high-fidelity graphics and ray tracing. Wolf Saints was 16 months. Do you think the Switch 2 will have more memory than the Series S? I believe it's rumored to have more, yes. We are one member away from 50. Halfway to what we need on the first day of the week. Thank you. And Behemoth is here, and he says, hi, Lono in chat. Press the like button, and he gets the super chat one away from confetti, and he wants you to press the like button. Thank you, Behemoth. Why can't the PS5 do full path tracing? That's BS. I expect 5090 level performance. Why can't it do 240 FPS? Right? That's what it sounds like you're doing, Corey. Wheezy's using hyperbole to display the problem. It's why I just snagged on your logic and your reason. I was like, what? Like, if the PlayStation 5 said it can give me 60 FPS, it would be weird for me to say I'm not consistently getting 120 and 240. If they said, well, we're going to give you ray tracing, and I'm like, well, where's the path tracing? I'm out. We can give you 4K. Well, where's the native 4K with 60 frames per second and path tracing and ray tracing? Well, they never said they could hit that. 8K's on the box. Be quiet. The adults are talking. Like, do you see? It's like you saying that about them. It doesn't make any sense. It's like the Nintendo Switch isn't being excused. I'm understanding what it's capable of. I don't get mad that my 2080 rig can't do 4K path tracing, ray tracing, and Randall upgrades to VIP, and that's worth 2. Every upgrade's worth 2, and there it is. 51 members already. Thank you so much, Randall. And I'm going to drop a 5-bomb. We are now 50 members away from the first milestone of the week that we try to hit. Thank you so much for that setup, Randall. It's a graphing calculator. Like, at some level, the fact that they got games like Breath of the Wild to run on the Switch 1 is impressive. I don't think anybody's, like, making excuses. Stop putting words in my mouth and engage with my claim. I'm not saying that the Switch 2 should be a PS5 level. I'm saying that it should be PS4 level because the claim is that it's going to be PS4 level. Okay? And let me go back to your original statement, Corey. I think maybe you're either not remembering what you said or we misunderstood you. Okay? Let me go to your channel activity here. And you said that sentiment is why I'm not excited for the Switch 2. The idea that, oh, it's okay that it looks like this because it's a Switch is why I can't support it. And I didn't understand why you would say that because we know the Switch 2, you're going to have to say that for certain games, Corey. Just imagine with me for a few seconds. Let's just imagine Hogwarts Legacy 2 lands. And it's going to look markedly better on the PS5 Pro than the Switch 2. And people are going to say, well, of course it looks like that. It's a Switch 2. And you're like, I don't want it. I don't want to hear that. You said your follow-up statement was, we hold every other product to that standard, though. I'm like, what standard? What standard are you referring to? And a VIP from Krayos, 18 months. I think the Switch is awesome for kids, for people who don't own a PC or PS5 or an Xbox. Those people don't nearly care as much about graphics. It's great on-the-go device that has TV functionality. It's also great for people that have those systems because we want the Nintendo games. Randall with a VIP, 18 months. You can't be missing Yo, can't be missing you and Madam's game nights. The Kingdom Come Deliverance streams are awesome. Thank you so much for those VIP renewals. If you guys hit 500 members on the week, Madam has to continue her journey in Kingdom Come Deliverance on Friday nights. If you guys missed part 2, it was hysterical. We had a really good time with it. Like, that's what I'm questioning. Like, what's the standard that you're holding the Switch 2 to? You're saying holding it to PS4, right? Okay, fine. Well, then, of course, it's not going to look as good as games on PC and the PS5 Pro. So there are going to be people that say, well, of course it looks like that. It's a Switch. Like, that sentence is bound to happen in the future, even if it's at the level of the PS4. I'm not comparing it to a PS5 or a Pro. I'm holding it to the standard of a PS4. But you didn't say that. You're verbalizing that now. If it doesn't look like something that could play on a PS4, that's a problem. That, I believe, is a fair assessment. If, Corey, if that's what they come out and say. We can't hold them to the standard of a rumor. We have to hold them to the standard of reality. So we have to let them announce it, let the actual specs come out, and if there are games that start to look like, man, that looks like a PS2 game, I think you're making a fair assessment. Now you've given us the boundary. I was like, you said we hold every game to that standard or every system to that standard. I'm like, what standard are you talking about? You've now outlined your standard, which I think is, given what we've heard, is probably fair. Yeah, Wheezy's right. You didn't say that until now. It sounded like you were like, you basically sounded like you didn't want to hear anybody say, well, it's okay for it to look like that because it's a Switch. And it's like, we're going to have to say that. It's not going to look as good as other systems in the market. It isn't. To your point about, of course, it'll look like that on a Switch 2, says Cobra Kai, but it doesn't have to be. Nintendo keeps making them underpowered. Games can look and run great on handhelds. Look at the Legion Go S. Right, but that's not what they're marketing to. Right? No one's saying it has to be. Nintendo's coming to the market with this. Do you want it or not? It sounds like you don't want it. Well, then that's the end of the discussion. Being like, well, they could have pushed performance. These guys over here are. Well, great. Go buy their device then. Right? Do you understand? Like, you're approaching a piece of tech and you're saying, well, they could have pushed more power or they could have done this because these guys over here are doing it. Well, great. Go buy their device then. Switch is not... Nintendo doesn't care about that fight. They're not fighting that fight. You're asking a guy who is going to karate tournaments why he's not fighting in the boxing match. He's like, that I don't fight in... That's not what I do. Well, but you could. You're fast, and you could train, and you could be a heck of a boxer. And the guy's like, yeah, I've spent my life mastering karate. Like, I'm not going to go over there and do boxing. And you see, like, Nintendo's like, I don't fight that fight. What are you talking about? I understand that there are levels to hardware. We have to set a baseline, and Nintendo has consistently said that they don't have to meet the baseline. They seek to make their own baseline. Yeah. And it seemingly didn't hurt demand. Right? It didn't hurt demand. It did perfectly fine. If anything, it sort of confounds the brain. It confounds the mind. That they came to a device, they came out with a device in 2017. It was underpowered and behind when it hit the shelves, and it's got 150 million in the market. As consumers, we allow them to set their own standards, and we don't allow anyone else to set their own standards. What? Okay, what do you want us to do? The market responded. I don't know what to tell you. The market responded to the convenience of digital movies and digital downloads of games and said the convenience is worth me not owning the game on a disc or a cartridge. The market surrendered that because they said, convenience is better. I'll prop my feet on the couch and I'll watch the movie you don't actually own it, you know. And they're like, I don't give a frick. I'm too busy to care about that. You know, people are working 2 jobs and struggling to pay their bills. The last thing they're going to give a single ounce of a frick about is whether or not they own that movie that they watched over the weekend. They don't care. They're like, just entertain me so that I can go back to forgetting about how bad my job sucks. Like, they do not care that they don't own the movie. Like, and I know that might be frustrating to somebody who's like an ideologue or a purist, or like, well, we're surrendering our digital ownership rights. And they are going to say in response, okay, like that the average person just doesn't care about that. They're too busy to care about that. And I think this is similar. Somebody's busy and a gaming device comes out where they can play Mario or Animal Crossing or Zelda, and they can take it with them. And there was nothing else in the market in 2017 that could do that. You couldn't go to PlayStation or Xbox and say, hey, can I take, Kratos and Master Chief with me? And they're like, what in the heck are you talking about? And Mario's over there saying, it's a me. And you're like, well, I'm going to buy that. And you're like, well, we continue to let them not have to hold to a standard. They came to the market and offered something that hadn't been offered yet. As consumers, we allow them to set their own... Oh, you already said that. We're in agreement here. We accept a lower bar when it's convenient for us. Well, it being a lower bar is subjective. To somebody else, it might not be a lower bar. They might be like, this is incredible. I don't have to get in my car, deal with traffic, deal with parking, deal with... Maybe they don't have it in stock. They don't have to deal with any of that crap. They push a button, pop some popcorn, and they've got their movie. They might think the bar's been raised. It's subjective. The value is subjective to the consumer. Clip this and seethe and maul in your YouTube videos about it for me, you starved creators. Like, yeah, I'm sorry to break it to you, but people don't think the bar's been lowered just because you think it's been lowered. They might think it's been elevated. They may be like, this is awesome. Every year at Christmas, it's a lot easier for me to watch all these Christmas movies with my kiddos. I don't have to go find the DVD. I don't have to make sure everything's hooked up properly. I push 2 buttons and we're watching The Grinch. To me, busy dad consumer, that bar's been elevated. That's great for me. All the disc is scratched. All the disc is scuffed. I can't find the disc. Where'd we put it? Click, click, click. We're watching The Grinch. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you're like, oh, the bar's been lowered. I think for people, the Nintendo Switch elevated the bar. They were like, this is great. I can play Animal Crossing at work. This is awesome. This is great for me. They don't care that the performance of the device isn't that great because that's not what they were sold. Like, they sold a device. You admit The Grinch is a good movie? Depends on which one. They sold the device on promise A, B, and C. And if the consumer feels like they got A, B, and C, then that's a great transaction. That's great. If I've got a hankering for a single saltine cracker, and there's a guy in a street corner, and he's selling a single saltine cracker for $10, and I just have to have it, and I give him $10, and I eat that cracker, I'm like, this was the best saltine I've ever had. Somebody comes along and they're like, you're an idiot. You've really lowered your standards. And it's like, that's what I really wanted in the moment. What are you talking about? You buy a beer and a hot dog at a baseball game. It's the same principle. You're spending way more than you would anywhere else or the grocery store. But you're willing to do it because in the moment, it's like, I want that. It's a part of the vibe. It's a part of the day. It's a part of my tradition. It's a part of my ritual at the baseball game. Here's $10 for a beer and a hot dog. I'm probably underpricing it, actually. And that person isn't lowering their bar. They're just saying, that's what you're promising me. I'm willing to spend money to get that. And if I get that, I'm happy. That's our story this Christmas. The Santa Claus is coming to town. Had a huge crack in it. Had to buy it again. There you go. Got me effed up thinking I'm filling my house with discs. So I can pretend. Well, there goes that. Oh my gosh. You got me effed up thinking I'm filling my house with discs so I can pretend I own a game. Absolutely not. If you ask me, cloud gaming can't come fast enough. I don't even want to download games. I'm sorry, what? Chat keeps crashing on me. I can tell that the platform's having a problem. We've never had the viewership trend today is the most batty I think I've ever seen it. YouTube's having issues again. I hated having to wait for stores to open, drive in, buy the game, go home, install it. I'd rather just buy it at midnight and do my thing, right? I press 2 or 3 buttons and the game's preloaded, and then I'm playing it as soon as it's available. So listen, you are well within your right to say, I don't want the Switch. I wasn't understanding your position. If your position is now that, well, we keep letting Switch lower the bar, I don't agree with you. If I can play Mario Kart or, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom at good performance and 60 FPS on my television, I got my money's worth. I would drop, I'm not kidding you, I'd put $500 on the table right now and say, give me the Nintendo Switch 2 if I can play through Tears of the Kingdom at 60, if I can play through Breath of the Wild at 60. Give it to me. That's worth it. Why? That's what I spent on consoles earlier this gen for the same idea. I like your games. I want your games at 60. Right? I did that with PlayStation. I did that with Xbox. They come out and they say 60. Here, we've got this amazing lineup of games. Here we go. All right, let's jump into the gen. I'll do the exact same thing with Nintendo. I don't give a frick. I'm like, give it to me. If I can get decent performance, I love your game so much I don't care. I'm not going to be like, oh, boo-hoo, Tears of the Kingdom isn't running at 4K with ray tracing. It's like, no, Tears of the Kingdom is a great game. Its art style works within this graphical fidelity. I'm a happy camper. The Switch isn't lowering the bar. They set the bar for me of what to expect, and then they meet what they set, then who cares? Transmissions from a Space Boat says, let's fill our houses up. Thank you for the member plus. And that gets us to 54. Let's get one more and see if we can't tempt a 20 out of somebody. Let's see. See if we can't bounce back from whatever YouTube's been doing today. Like count's back to where it should be, 300, but the view count's been all over the place. I just assume that means people are having to refresh. To my point, would you be willing to accept a Nintendo Switch 2 if they're 1080-30? No, I think there is a natural evolution at this point where they should be able to hit 60 in the games that they make within the art style that they hit and target. Whether it's Tears of the Kingdom or Mario Kart or that Metroid game that they showed us. I think they should be able to hit 60 in those games. Given what we know, given what we're hearing, I'm pretty sure with upscaling, you could put Breath of the Wild on a PS4, and if you somehow retrofitted the PS4 with upscaling, I feel like you could get Breath of the Wild running at 60. There were games hitting 60 on that system. Not all, but there were games hitting 60 on that system. That ain't no God of War 2018. We're not talking about Spider-Man 1. We're talking about Breath of the Wild here. Okay? Breath of the Wild's art style and world detail and textures and the lighting system that it uses and the rendering system that it uses, I feel like games in that lane, if they don't hit 60, I'm going to say, yeah, okay, you guys are not even close to what I expect these days. Especially with the new chip. Yeah. I think there's a natural floor. You're talking about something else. I'm talking about the floor. You're talking about the ceiling, Corey. There's a natural floor. And it's like, we are now too far away from the Switch 1. It's been 8 years. We're too far away from it to be out here saying, yeah, it's okay for first-party Nintendo games to not hit 60. No, I don't agree with that. I think that should be something that they can achieve. Silent Spartan does it. 16 months into VIP. I disagree with you a lot, but I'm happy to support your show because it continues to elevate beyond everything out there. I'm usually not here live, but watch every VOD. Thanks for the solid work. And there it is, 55 members. Let's see if we can't tantalize somebody to drop the 20 bomb and leapfrog us to 75, and I'll drop 5, and we'll be well on our way to the first 100. Thank you, Silent Spartan. That's a fair statement. We are saying the games they make should be 60 on the Switch 2, and failure to hit that is below expectation. On this, we agree. First-party Nintendo games should be hitting 60 on the Switch 2 because they're built from the ground up for the system, and it's been long enough for them to deliver on hardware that can do that. If they don't hit 60, that's a bridge that can be crossed when we get there. But if they're hitting 60, 1080, I don't care. That's what I'm saying, Wheeze. You do a little upscaling when I dock it, I'm happy. I'm happy as a clam. I don't care. Dope shirt, sir. Thank you, Feed. We got to get some of these bombs going because Feed's name is Gray, and I cannot abide that. I cannot abide that. My thing is, if Nintendo came out and say that's 1080, 60, and there it Cobra Kai does a member plus, those are worth 2, and that gets us to 57. Anybody that upgrades to member plus or VIP, or if you sign up brand new to member plus and VIP, it counts as 2. And DTM with 37 months, he says 37 months, woo, and that gets us to 58. Thank you so much, boys. Welcome in, Cobra Kai. You've been contributing to the conversation a lot recently, as well as doing super chats, and I appreciate it. That's low standards. We wouldn't accept games never going past PS3 texture and resolution just to run 60. Switch 2 should be 1080 60 minimum. The MK9 didn't look much heavier than MK8. I'm trying to be reasonable. I think it's reasonable to say if it's a game made for the Switch, new Zelda, new Mario, new whatever, I think they should be hitting 60. Their games do not push graphical systems and graphical fidelity that should make that impossible. Their games just simply don't do that, and that's okay. I don't come to Nintendo for ray tracing. I come to Nintendo for Mario and for Zelda. Do you see the difference? It's like PlayStation has sort of baked into their ethos or baked into the schema of their games that we expect good graphics and performance. They've done this with games like God of War, Horizon, Spider-Man, even games like Days Gone and The Last of Us, okay? Nintendo's never done that. Nintendo has never baked in to the schema of their expectations that, well, it's going to look really, really good. And they've never done that. Ever. Mario Galaxy doesn't look that different than Mario Odyssey. Mario Kart 8 doesn't look that different than Mario Kart 9. Now, there's really good analysis from the real straight-laced, like, monotone guy. He wears his hair in a ponytail. Sun Grad is his stuff. I think some of his anti-woke stuff goes a little beyond what I would, but he's entertaining. And he put together a good video called Sun Grand Studios. He did a breakdown of Mario Kart 9, and he saw a lot in there that he thinks is very promising, like volumetric lighting, detailed shadows at distance, higher fidelity textures, more density within the textures. He seems to think it's going to be a significantly stronger Switch compared to Switch 1. We're in agreement. Although I believe that they will fall into 1080 30 or 1080 40, I think people will accept it because it's Nintendo. I don't think so. I think Sun Grand's video on Mario Kart 9 might change your mind. I think he does a really, really good job breaking it down. I don't think this thing's going to be, just another 30 FPS machine. No, Nintendo's never used the words visual fidelity. Never been a focus. Never. Yeah, they aim for evergreen design. That's a really great way of saying it, Adam of the Dragoon. Not realism. That's exactly right. And I think that's why their games will always have like a timeless feel. They'll always have a timeless feel to them. It's stronger than a PS4, and folks are saying 1080-30. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Let me get a question up here. What is this? I already read Brett's question. Let's read this question. What do you think will happen with GTA Plus? I don't really have a good prediction there. Sorry. I don't know enough about it to speak on it, and they'll obviously probably do updates to it and implement it into GTA 6 as well as GTA 6 Online. But outside of that, I don't really have the ability to speak with any predictive power to what they'll do. I don't have enough experience with GTA Online or Plus or what they charge or the history of what they would charge. So... Anyways, the market won't give a crap. People will buy one in droves. I think we're all in agreement on that for the most part. I don't think anybody's in disagreement that the Nintendo Switch won't sell like crazy. I think it's going to sell very, very well. And the predictions about its sales in the first year are all looking really, really good. Nintendo Switch 2 will offer huge controller improvement, a leaker is claiming. So the controller apparently is going to be heavily upgraded according to GameRant. Or according to a leaker that GameRant's reporting on. Yeah, this leaker is claiming that they have Hall effect joysticks. I don't know about that. Wheeze, I don't know if you've heard anything. I have my doubts that they got Hall effect in this thing. I have my doubts. We will see. I just don't think Nintendo will prioritize 60. I think we hope they will prioritize 60, but I don't think they know. But I don't think they know it won't matter much to their audience. Here's why I don't agree with what you're saying. All right. I believe, and this is heavily related, guys, be sure to go check out my video. It's off to a better start than I expected because it's Nintendo. It's right in the middle of the pack of like the last 10 uploads that I've done, which is super encouraging to me as a Nintendo fan. It's always been hard for me to cover Nintendo, and the fact that we're having a lively debate about Nintendo and viewership's been good and I have an upload doing well, thank you so much. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's called Nintendo is Growing Up, okay? That's the title of the video. That's the POV. I'm not going to give away the video here. I want you to go watch it. But part of my analysis in that video is why I don't agree with you, Corey. I believe Nintendo is growing up. I believe they put out a trailer for a new piece of technology, not a new toy. That trailer, to me, signals a shift, a change, a tonal shift. That is personally what I think. You should submit that clip with Hilly. Let's see those skills in action. Oh, they want a derby clip contest, Demolition Derby. Oh yeah, we've definitely got some funny ones. They aim for 60 where possible. Right, sketches? Like, to me, I don't think you would position. It was a really good video. Thank you. I was really pleased with how the script turned out. I knew what I wanted to say. I didn't know it would end up being that long. We thought that was going to be like a 4-minute video. It turned into a 13-minute video, so. And whenever you watch a video like that, be sure to leave it a like. Be sure to leave it a comment. We've got some comments on here. Bro, you were not alive when the NES was released. LOL. Yes, I was. Yes, I was. What do you mean? I don't know why a lot of people are mad with Nintendo about innovation on the Switch 2, says D the Great. And when there would be no high-end handheld market without them. Nintendo birthed the Steam Deck. Everyone talked about how their only gripe with the Switch was the power and how certain games played terrible and they couldn't get third-party games. Nintendo's taking care of that. Also, they're removable. Joy-Cons for 2 players show where any new handhelds can do that. Great vid. Hey, man. Hey, man, thank you. Thank you, D the Great. I appreciate that. What a compliment. Yeah, is he saying I don't look old enough? That must be what he's saying. He must be saying there's no way you were alive when the Nintendo came out. It's like, what do you mean? It came out in 85. Came out in 85. I'd been alive for 4 years. I don't know if we got one when it came out. I think we had to wait a couple of years, and then my dad got us one. I think they were scarce and they were hard to find. Either that or we couldn't afford it. I can't remember. I remember opening it, and I remember being elated because getting a Nintendo was like the biggest dream that every kid had in the 80s. Actually, no, literally where possible, first-party games run at 60. Wheezy, what are you saying? They've always had 60 FPS where possible. Oh, I see what you're saying. You remember 1985? Yeah, I was 4, but I remember kids at church having Nintendos. I remember going to people's houses. I remember being babysat by a family, and they had the running pad. And you could cheat in the long jump by, like, jumping off the pad and back on. Lono's, like, in his 40s, but doesn't look like it. Yeah, I get told that all the time. I get told that I don't look like I'm in my 40s. That'll start to change with the gray. I'm getting gray in my beard and my hair. Ports or remasters to Switch, and I know Wii U and the Wii from the GameCube to the Wii were possible for 60, as well as every first-party Nintendo game that can do 60. Maybe, is it just the big games that get the attention, and that's what people fixate on, Wheezy? Maybe like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? Most Nintendo games are 60, especially the ones that require reflexes. Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, Mario Odyssey, Mario Maker are all 60, says Jesse. Only the Zeldas struggle with frames as far as I know. Well, there you go. That kind of cements what we're saying. This guy says... he quotes me. I said, they see themselves as a toy company rather than a tech company. Or maybe that's what you think. Nintendo regularly reports that most of their players are over the age of 30. I'm not talking about the age of the consumer. I'm talking about the age of the player. It's been like that for a long time now. They have the best game designers in the business and have for decades. Yeah. And they have notoriously identified themselves as a toy company. I didn't say anything about age demographic you're projecting. I know that 80% of their users are adults and not children. Like, you misfired there, brother. Like, I didn't say anything about age demographic. You're projecting because I said toy company. Nintendo has notoriously identified themselves as a toy company, not a tech company. He thinks when I said toy company, Patrick, he thinks I'm claiming that they traditionally have made devices for children. I didn't say that. I always push back on that notion that, like, most of their users are not children. We get people in here that say that all the time. He's projecting. He heard toy company, and he thinks I'm doing the classic... Well, yeah, I mean, they make stuff for kids. And it's like, that's not what I was saying when I said that. Historically speaking, that is something Nintendo's very regularly identified as. Like, we're a toy company. We're not a tech company. I wonder if that's even been... Has that been explicitly stated? Nintendo identifies as a toy company. I feel like that's been, like, explicitly stated. In 2019, Nintendo reaffirms its toy maker identity. Why did Nintendo think of themselves as a toy company was a question that somebody asked 3 years ago. I believe they've always thought of themselves that way. In 1983, Nintendo decided to position themselves more as a toy than a computing device. Like, the history of their devices, they didn't want to be seen as like a computing device. They wanted to be seen as a toy. People see toy company as disparaging. Yeah, I wasn't disparaging them. That's how they've identified for years. If you look at the shapes of their consoles, if you look at the shapes of their characters, their controllers, they've always tried to make their stuff look like a toy and not some high-tech device. That's what was so different about that Switch 2 trailer. It was like, this doesn't look like a toy company trailer. This looks like a tech trailer. They highlight the toy origins to help broaden people's minds to the concept of play, like people think they are above play. Yeah, I've always been in Nintendo's corner. I've never once acted like, oh yeah, they're a toy company because they make their stuff for children. Did you get it submitted, Cobra Kai? Yeah, you got to submit it the way Stonespire did. All right, guys. It's 105. It's 105. We're one super chat away from confetti. We're about 40 away from the milestone we need of 100. If you guys do that, we'll extend. We'll keep going. A lot of the days you guys have shifted the questions into AMA because you get to extend. I put the stream in your hands. So if you've got gifts you want to do or renewals you want to do, now's the time. We got a question from Stonespire. So you think Nintendo changes up how they make the cartridges to allow for bigger games, or will games like Starfield and Fallout be digital only, or will they allow mod support? That's an excellent question. I don't know if they're going to have cartridges that allow for larger games, or if they're going to use that patented upscaling technology. The patent that they established for upscaling was specifically so they could get install size down. Awesemo pokes the line with a member plus and gets us to 59. I've been letting people extend, Wheezy. If we hit the daily milestone, we press on for extra time. I kind of put the stream in y'all's hands. Now, as far as some of these games being digital only, or, as far as like, oh, well, what about mod support? I don't see mod support coming to Nintendo, even if a game like Starfield hits it. But as far as install size and the cartridges and digital only, I'm honestly not really sure what they'll do. That's a question that's going to have to be answered in the coming days by Nintendo. Nintendo was legitimately a toy company that got into gaming. They came from toys. That's why every Nintendo system came with accessories and peripherals. Nintendo makes baby games, adult babies and baby babies. That's right, Kirk. That's right. Oh, man. The price for large size flash memory is so low now, they can have 100 gig size cartridges for low prices, says AOZ. Christopher Burnett says, nobody listened, and now people are starting to wake up and realize they bought into the lies about digital media, but it's too late and physical media will eventually die out. Yeah. Again, I understand, but people don't use toy company to be complimenting. I mean, I meant it as a self-established identity that they made clear, and then I was saying they were clearly diverging from that, right? Like, again, to me, they were diverging from that. That trailer does not feel like toy company Nintendo. It feels like tech company Nintendo. Like, they want this to be seen as like a legitimate handheld. Why do they need to be complimented? I don't think he's saying they need to be complimented, Will. I think what he's saying is that there are people out there that every time Nintendo comes up, they speak about them in like a disparaging way. Like, they only make games for kids, or only kids get on the Nintendo Switch. We literally had somebody claim that today. Right? We literally had somebody claim that today. They basically claimed that, yeah, it's only kids play it, or it's all their stuff's for kids. And it's like, that's not true. And so when someone hears toy company, I think that's probably what they assume. They assume that that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that, like, oh, it's just for kids. That isn't what I was saying. I was literally saying, like, they have historically identified themselves as a toy company, and the Switch 2 trailer does not communicate that at all. There's a whimsicalness to it. There's a playfulness to it. They're still rooting their identity in Mario and Mario Kart, but it doesn't communicate like toy company. It looks more like a tech. Like it reminded me of like an Apple iPhone or an Apple tablet announcement. All right, you guys got 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes, and you can extend. You got 20 minutes to extend. One more super chat, and I got to add 5 to the total. You guys can I'm sorry, not 5, 1. I add 1 to the total. So you guys can super chat and make me gift and make me add to the total. And then anybody that's got renewals of VIP or Member Plus, double check those. Toy Company Nintendo, Tech Company Nintendo, boring. When are we getting... I'm not saying anything about that, Spice King. Milos says, that's what I said. Wait, what did you say? Oh, yeah, as I said, that trailer was straight from Apple. Yeah, Milos, I said that. I was like, that felt more like when you watched like an Apple commercial, especially when the kickstand came out. It was like, I feel like I'm watching a commercial for a new tablet or something. They're capturing a wider audience from the start, but they will introduce fun colors later, I'm sure. Us Nintendo fans hear toy in the right context. Others need to shake that notion. I finished Stellar Blade. Yeah. It was my favorite game last year. Chris says, I stand by my statement until sales prove me wrong. 450 will cut out a lot of kids, which will affect sales if I'm right. Nintendo has a hit or miss history. They're not selling it to kids though, Chris. Your prediction doesn't seem based off of Nintendo's consumer base. We just looked at the age breakdown the other day. 80% of their consumers are adults. There's a small percentage that are like 16 or 17. Like 18 and up is their biggest slice of their consumer base. Like, and kids aren't buying it. All of those adults will be buying it. Let's just shave it to 75%, okay? Let's just think about this for a second. There are 150 million Switches out there in circulation. 75% of those people are adults. Adults with money, okay? That's roughly 112 million people. So let's just shave that down, and let's even be more conservative. So we shave down the 80 to 75%. Let's shave the 112 million down to 100 million, okay? Their target audience that's got a wallet ready to spend is 100 million people. 100 million people. They only need somewhere between 5 and 10% of them to automatically pick it up, and they're off to the races. Then there's the rest of the market. There's all the people that maybe skip the Switch one. There's people that are like, well, I didn't really do the Switch one, but this one looks nice, or I've not done Nintendo in a while, or man, I have my PlayStation or my PC or my Xbox. I would like to have the new Nintendo Switch because it looks nice. That's a lot of freaking people. There's a ton of gamers in the world. There's a ton of mobile gamers in the world. There's PC gamers. There's PlayStation. There's Xbox. If they get somewhere between 5 and 10% of that 100 million to buy, like they're anticipated by some analysts to sell 20 million in the first year. You only need a percentage of your existing user base to even get close to that. 150 million are in circulation right now. Wheezy said, I'm one of the people who's never owned a Nintendo home console. I'm getting the Switch too. There you go. There you go. The way they positioned it, the way they positioned that trailer and the leaks that we're hearing, I'm telling you, they're going after the broader market. They're saying there's more people out here that will buy this if we position it as a little bit more tech, a little bit more power, and then we get all of the people automatically that just love Nintendo and they've been on the Switch for 6 or 7 or 8 years, and they're going to gladly be ready to upgrade. You know? Take a second, guys, and smash the like button. In 15 minutes, we'll be there. It is. Zinthos makes confetti, and I have to gift a member, but this is a single, and it adds to the total. You guys can make me add to the total with super chats. We are now at 60. We are exactly 40 away from 100. And that's what we need to extend the stream. I'll set another super chat goal just in case. Sometimes you guys prefer that. I will gift a member. We got 15 minutes. I always want every super chat to count towards the goal, especially if we end up extending. If a big boy comes in and 20 or 50 bombs it up, we will extend and go longer. We've been doing that a lot lately. You guys have been hitting the goals every week. You've been extending like crazy. You've been supporting the channel like crazy, and I greatly appreciate it. Wheezy says, I see more powerful tech. It plays all the Switch games I missed. Easiest decision of my life. It'll be the only console I own besides my PC and actively buy games for. They sold me. There you go. Zubair says, yes, Will, I'm struggling to keep up with your argument. That's what's happening here. You don't see the parallels between Disney and Nintendo? What's Will arguing? You're trying to say Nintendo is factually more fun because of the Disney look? Huh? Most games are fun. No, I don't get why people watch Disney movies. I'm having a hard time understanding, just jumping in like that, what you're saying, Will. Nintendo's pushing their fan base away. No, isn't pushing their fan base away. Yeah, I don't think they're pushing their fan base away at all. I don't think people understand what's going to happen when a Mario Kart or a new Mario is seen. You put out a Mario Kart, you put out a Metroid trailer, you put out a new Mario game trailer. I mean, come on, man. What are we even talking about here? What are we even talking about? There are people that aren't going to hesitate to be like, dude, I love Nintendo and I'm back. I'm right back in the thick of it. I'm right back in the mix. Will is taking the position that Nintendo is undeserving of the praise they get and are only successful because they appeal to the lowest common denominator. Will, does that represent your position? Is that what you're saying? I bought the original Switch. It felt like a toy. I enjoyed it for the novelty and then found very little reason to go back to it. My concern is that I see a bigger version of the same toy that I bought. And there are a lot of people who take your outlook, Corey. There are a lot of people who take your outlook. They say, all right, look, it just looks like a bigger version of the thing that I already wasn't that impressed with. You know what I mean? And I get that. You know, I do. I get that. I get where people are coming from. It's like, but you've got to let them come out and say more than they've already said. He says, no, it's a lot of factors. All right, well, make your argument. You guys have 12 minutes if you want to extend the stream. If you want to extend the stream, you got 12 minutes. You need 40 more members for today. That's both renewals, upgrades, and gifted. So if you've been considering upgrading, signing up, if you do sign up brand new, make sure you pick Member Plus or VIP. Do not pick the $5 tier if you pick up your own membership. We made a Mustang with more horsepower, but it's just a Mustang with more horsepower. Burt face. I just played Link's Awakening Remake this weekend. I'll be getting 2 Switches at launch. What happens in 12 minutes? We'll go to the green room. We'll go to the green room. Or maybe he doesn't censor people. Consider that possibility. Huh? What are you saying, Spice King? Who are you responding to? The woke comments not being deleted would suggest this is one of those. This is one of those channels. Moving on. What are you talking about, Miss J Music? What do you mean one of those channels? And what woke comments do you see? Oh, your account's a month old. You're just trying to start something. Move along. I'll tell you what I do. I delete cowards who are coming in here on alt trying to stir up trouble. I typically let people voice their opinion as long as they're respectful. Yeah. So in 10 minutes, we will go to the green room. If you guys want to extend the live stream, whenever we hit a milestone, we just keep going and keep streaming. That's what we do. We just keep going. I basically put the stream in your hands, and then we keep going. A lot of the times you guys have extended the stream, and then we keep streaming, and it turns into like a personal off-subject AMA, like Ask Me Anything. Yeah. I have a modded Switch. It lets me download every game on the Switch for free, but it still collects dust. I'm not sure why you keep asking me, bro, can you get it in PS5? What are you asking about? Are you asking about a particular game? You're just spamming. Why do people get upset at a graphical boost and also get upset that if there isn't one? Can you explain what you mean? When do you see people getting upset at a graphical boost? What do you mean by that? Wheezy says, my only worry about the Switch 2 is I might not be able to get one for 6 months if I miss the launch window. I agree that that's probably my biggest concern as well, that I just won't be able to get one. All right. You're done here. This audience skews towards high-end hardware and cutting-edge gaming experiences. We're not the Switch target audience. Sneaky says, check my last. All right, hang on. People for a long time now have been addressing byte do third-party problem and also resolution. The Switch 2 should fix all that. Oh, you said that people for a while now have been expressing like there's no third party and then there's been like issues with performance. This should address those problems for sure. Yes. Do you guys remember the 3DS launch as Chris? The hardcore bought it and sounded the same way as Switch 2 people sound, but the mass market rejected it at its price, and Nintendo had to drop the price. I think this is entirely different. Have seen the narrative that Nintendo's approach is boring and that there should have been a new gimmick, but if they pay attention, they'd understand there is a jump that mirrors a next-gen upgrade. Well, and they haven't seen what the thing can do. They don't know what the Wiimotes. They don't know what the Joy-Cons can do. If they can function like a mouse or can create entirely new game types or new ways of interacting with them. Like, they haven't even given them a shot. People are jumping to conclusions. You know what I mean? I think GTA 6 will be coming to the Switch 2 because it's more powerful than the Series S. The GTA 6 is coming to and would be able to win-win for Rockstar. I don't think the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be strong on the Series S. And Sneaky Wolf says, listen, boys, we got a little bit of time left, but let's make a run. He gifts a member. Patrick Q renews a VIP, and that gets us to 62. They're taking chunks out of it. You guys got 7 minutes. You can do it. You band together. A little train or upgrades or renewals. They all add up. Thank you, Sneaky Wolf. And Patrick says, happy Monday, everyone. I've been a member here for almost 10% of my life now. That's weird. That is a little weird. Thank you so much, though, Patrick, for being here. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. The price tag will be $4 to $4.50. And a member plus from Dan. See how quickly we can add this up. Thank you so much. 63 members on the day. You the best, Dan. It'd be somewhat ironic if the first game I played GTA 6 on is a Switch 2, not going to lie. I feel like GTA 6 on a Switch 2 is an absolute misfire. I just don't think so. It doesn't feel like brand alignment. It doesn't seem like, from what we've seen, even in Digital Foundry's breakdown of like the higher resolution GTA 6 trailer, I'm like, bro, I just don't think so. It doesn't seem like they would. Porting it later, maybe. At 15% of your life, Lono drinks a 6-pack with you. That's true. Toff says, I think even without knowing the specs, which are now well known, the writing's on the wall. This is going to compete in the same space as current gen consoles in terms of third party. People are not aware yet. They assume the insides haven't improved. That's what I'm getting at. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying, Toff. All right, 5 minutes. 5 minutes and we're out of here. Unless you guys extend. I don't care about the logistics. I just think it'd be funny. Reckless says I wouldn't hold my breath. Yeah, I think you might be a little I think you may be overestimating the Switch 2 competing because you know what I mean? The Series S was at a really, really great price, and it didn't compete in the market like against the PS5. I don't know if the Switch is targeting that. The Switch is going to dominate its space. It's going to do incredibly well. I don't think its goal is to target competing with, like, a PlayStation or even, like, mid-level PC rigs. That just isn't their goal, I don't think. Zelda Hart, with a Member Plus renewal, says, I'm so excited for the Switch 2, and there it is. Now we're at 64. You guys are running out of time. You got 4 minutes. I'm going to get ready to schedule the green room. We'll see if anybody comes in and tries to pull a buzzer beater. You guys have done it before. Makes for an exciting day. It's also a good time to do it when we're down here at the waning hours of a stream. It tends to go to the more loyal members of our community here. We are trying to get feedback in the loop. Nobody's cross-shopping PlayStations and Switch 2s. Yeah, I think they're completely different purchases. I don't think the lion's share of the people buying the Switch 2 are going to be like, well, I'm torn. Should I get this or a PS5? You know, I just don't. Or should I get this or an Xbox? I don't think they compete in that realm. That isn't Nintendo's goal, but that doesn't mean third-party devs aren't frothing at the mouth to hit basically an untapped market. Nintendo doesn't have to do right. I think that's true, Wheeze. I think that's true, but I don't think that suddenly makes Nintendo a contender against PlayStation or Xbox or, you know, PCs, like pre-made PCs at Best Buy or wherever. It doesn't feel like a tension point in the consumer's mind. Well, should I get a Switch 2 or a PlayStation 5? Talents with 14 months. Everyone's making handhelds, so Nintendo's like, hold my beer. That AI upscaling will have the Switch 2 keeping up. Nintendo gave us the D-pad. I saw your comment on the video, Talents. I can't add you to the total if you're not at Member Plus or VIP, though, because I can't tell if you're a gifted or not. If you're a gifted, you've already been counted in the total. Never said it is. Just third-party devs are frothing at the mouth. Right. I didn't say that you were saying that, Wheeze. I'm saying that's what somebody else was saying. You're like, well, that's not their goal, but third parties are going to be frothing at the mouth. And it's like, yes, but that doesn't add to what the other guy was saying, that like, oh, it'll be competing. Somebody could have read your comment and thought that that's what you were saying. You were trying to add to that, that claim. All right. 2 minutes. Let me schedule the green room for visibility. Member Plus or higher. We're going to schedule it for 1:30, which is in 2 minutes. All the other handhelds. Oh, wait. There's some questions I haven't answered. Isn't there? Cobra Kai, you tried to submit a question. Let me just go to your channel activity and answer it for you. You said, what game, not GTA 6, are you looking forward to the most in 2025? Any platform? Mine is Crimson Desert. Mine is Ghost of Yotei. I'm an enormous Ghost of Tsushima fan. I'm a huge Ghost of Tsushima fan. Can't wait to play Yotei. Super excited. All the anti-woke grifters are going to eat crow because it's going to be a great game. It'll probably sell well also. No one's going to... These bedwetters over having to play as a female aren't going to get any traction once games come out and they're actually good. So... keep in mind, 2 years ago, one of the project leads I know at Ubisoft, things could change, alluded to the fact that they were essentially told to figure out how to get whatever project to have a Switch 2 version. Oh, I'm sure they were told that. I'm sure. GTA is coming to Switch 2. Heard Rockstar wants to show up the trailer, too, of GTA 6 in the Nintendo Direct in April. and with DLSS? Really? That seems insane to me. All right, it's 1:30. All right, let's go. I want to have time to work on vids and stuff, and so sometimes going to green room and not extending is nice. Let me set up. All right, I got to schedule it. I'm going to schedule it and set up redirect. Ghost of Tsushima was awesome. Yeah, I loved it. It's one of my all-time favorite games. All right, let me set up redirect, and I'll get you guys a link. If you're at Member Plus and above, you get to come with us to the green room. It's basically now Writer's Room and green room combined into one. If you are on a gifted membership, you get access to morning coffee and all of the stuff that we do on Fridays. But the end of the day green room is reserved for paying members, and that is Member Plus and above. If you want to come with us, it's really easy. All you got to do is click on join, or use the join command, or use the membership. Should be at the top. We've got to change that. That should be like the top thing in the description. Anyways, it's down there listed as membership in the description of the video. And I'm going to spam a link in chat. Redirect is notorious for not working, so don't rely on redirect. Use the link in chat. Use the link in chat. Thank you so much for being a Member Plus or a VIP. We have now rolled Writer's Room and Green Room into one end of the day segment for those of you that are supporting the channel directly. Gifted members, if you're watching the tail end of this and you can't come with us, you can upgrade for $1. Member Plus is $6 a month, but it gets you into the end of the day segment. All members get into the morning segment called Morning Coffee, as well as the stuff that we do on Friday. Thank you to everybody who supported the stream today with likes and gifts and super chats. We're off to a strong start already. If you guys want to make Madam continue her Kingdom Come Deliverance playthrough on Friday nights, I'm going to end the previous stream and redirect folks over. And then I'm going to change the thumbnail because we're no longer live over there.